Chapter 37. Only one type of martial skill? Yang Dingtian asked in bewilderment. That's right. Martial skills determine a martial artist's mystic chi route and attack attribute. Therefore, martial artists can only learn one type of martial skill in their lifetime. However, after becoming a great mystic martial master, they can learn many types of mystic skills. Dugu Fengwu said, martial skills determine a person's mystic chi cultivation level. On the other hand, profound skills determine the strength of a person's attack. Martial skills are the foundation, while mystic skills are the branches. Following that, Yin picked up a manual and said, "This is the Blaze Devil Sword Art, an 8th grade elementary manual. It has a powerful area of effect. Mystic chi automatically carries a destructive aura. Once the enemy is hit, they will be continuously injured." After finishing, Yin looked at Yang Dingtian to see if he was interested. Yang Dingtian took the manual and closed his eyes to feel it. After a while he put it back. Yin picked up another manual and introduced, "This is the Violent Prison Rending Saber Art, an 8th grade intermediate saber art. It has a powerful penetrative ability and uses mystic chi as astral chi. It is indestructible." Yang Dingtian said, "I want to practice the sword. Therefore I will only choose the sword art." "Why?" Yin said, "The other weapons are not that bad, right? Because I want to cultivate the sword soul." Yang Dingtian said because he recalled how powerful Shaman Wuxia was when he executed the sect origin sword soul. Furthermore, this was just a sect origin sword soul that was in the growth stage. Yin exclaimed, "The sword soul is the king of martial souls. It is very, very difficult. There are only 3 people in the world who have cultivated the sword soul. You have to think carefully." "Which 3 people?" Yang Dingtian asked. "My father, sect leader Dongfang, the sect leader of the Yin sect, and even Zhu Qingzhu didn't manage to cultivate a sword soul." Yin said, "In this world, there are 100 people who want to cultivate a sword soul, but less than half of them succeed. For an ordinary martial spirit, one only needed to capture a powerful demonic beast and refine it. Therefore, any profound martial artist could have a martial spirit to assist them in battle. However, if it's a sword soul, I'm afraid that even a grandmaster wouldn't be able to refine it. They wouldn't even have enough materials to forge a sword soul." "Are the materials for soul swords very difficult?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Sword soul is to give a sword life and soul. Therefore, in order to use the best body, the Yang bloodline require bloody black gold, at least 99 pieces of bloody black gold. Just these 99 pieces of bloody black gold. A martial artist would have to travel tens of thousands of miles under the heavens and spend at least 10 years to find them," Yin said. "Not to mention the profound vein essence that is used to construct the soul sword profound vein, and the even rarer and more precious sea spirit crystal. If it's not for luck, a person might not be able to find all these materials in their lifetime." Yang Dingtian immediately sucked in a breath of cold air and asked in his heart, "Master, is this true?" "It's true." Dongfang Minmi said, "I found enough bloody black gold and spent 10 years traveling the world. As for the profound vein essence and sea spirit crystal, it's completely up to fate. Therefore, cultivating a sword soul is almost the most difficult thing in the world. It's much more difficult than cultivating to the grandmaster level." Yang Dingtian was stunned and asked again in his heart, "Then how powerful is the sword soul?" "The king of martial spirits." Dongfang Minmi said, "Whoever can refine a powerful sword soul will be invincible under the heavens. Your martial uncle Shiman's sword soul is only at the growth level, but it's already so powerful. In another 10 years, no one in the world will be able to contend with him. Because he chose the most difficult path, the sword soul he chose is also the most difficult and most powerful sword soul." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's blood boiled. "You're pressed for time. Cultivating a sword soul will be even more difficult." Dongfang Minmi said, "Therefore, cultivating an ordinary martial spirit will make you very powerful in advance. You have the 9 Yang profound veins, so you can refine a very powerful martial spirit. But, if you don't cultivate a sword soul, you'll never be able to reach the peak of this world. You'll never be able to kill Zhu Qingzhu, and you'll never be able to defeat Dongfang Bingling. Because she also chose the most difficult path, she also chose to cultivate a sword soul." "I know what to do, master," Yang Dingtian said. Then, he looked at Yin and said, "I chose to learn the sword, so I only need to choose a sword art, Yan Yan looked at him for a while and said, "You and my father are the same, both of you are crazy." Then she walked to the second shelf and picked up one of the secret manuals. This is the 8th rank secret manual, Devil Devouring Sword Art. This sword art contains the brightest Xian Qi energy. It's as pure as the two suns in the sky. It's fatal to experts of evil ways. Yin Yan introduced. Before Yang Dingtian could take it, Yin Yan put it back. Because no matter if it was now or in the future, the opponents that Yang Dingtian would face would not be of evil ways. Whether it was the experts of Cloud Sky City Dongfang Bingling, or even the Black Sky sect, they were all famous sects in the world. Yin Yan came to the last shelf and said, "You didn't like the previous ones, so this secret manual is your only choice?" 8th rank secret manual, Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. It's the world's most unyielding and resolute, the most iron-blooded and unyielding sword art. It's invincible and fearless. It conquers hardness and softness. It's domineering and has the aura of a king. Yin Yan almost used all the words to describe this secret manual. "You don't like the others, so you can only choose this Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword," Yin Yan said and handed the secret manual to Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian took the secret manual and felt a strong and vast energy. It instantly numbed his entire body. His Xian meridian seemed to be hungry and eager to try. However, Yang Dingtian looked at the door unwillingly. Next door was a 9th rank secret manual, which was also the highest rank secret manual in Cloud Sky City. "Which secret manual is Martial Uncle Shiman cultivating?" Yang Dingtian asked. Yin Yan said, "He's cultivating the only 9th rank secret manual in Cloud Sky City, Disaster Overcoming Sword Art." Yang Dingtian asked again, "What's the highest rank secret manual in the world?" 9th rank. Yin Yan said, "The highest Xian skill secret manual in the world is the 9th rank. There are only a few 9th rank secret manuals in the world. Even Yinyang School doesn't have more than 2 or 3 of them. In Cloud Sky City there's only one." Yang Dingtian said, "I want to take a look at this 9th rank secret manual, Disaster Overcoming Sword Art." Yin Yan took a deep breath and said bitterly, "It's gone. It was stolen. 5 years ago it was stolen." Yang Dingtian's heart stopped. 5 years ago, Yin Yan was injured and her cultivation was destroyed. And the only 9th rank secret manual in Cloud Sky City was also stolen 5 years ago. Could there be a connection? This seemed to be the most painful part in Yin Yan's heart. She didn't want to talk about it anymore and changed the topic. "My father only has intermediate 8th rank Xian meridians, but he chose to learn intermediate 9th rank secret manuals. Crossing ranks to cultivate, he was almost on the path of death. In the first few years he didn't improve at all. His talent was almost destroyed. You don't have a choice. This Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword Art is already the strongest secret manual in Cloud Sky City," Yin Yan said. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and asked, "How strong can I be if I learn this upper 8th rank Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword Art?" "Martial Saint," Yin Yan said. The first Cloud Sky City Lord, Yang Yunxiao, gave up on the 9th rank secret manual and chose this upper 8th rank Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword Art. In the end, he became a martial saint and became the last martial saint in the world. "That's strong?" Yang Dingtian said in disbelief. "Can a martial saint become a martial saint with an upper 8th rank secret manual?" Yin Yan said, "Anyway, City Lord Yang Yunxiao did it. When he saw the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword Art, he loved it so much that he couldn't put it down. It was as if it was made for him." Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and felt a surge of emotions. This was a martial skill that Martial Saint Yang Yunxiao had learned. If he could use this sword art to become a martial saint, why can't I? "Have you thought about it? Once you've decided, you can't change it," Yin Yan said. Yang Dingtian held the scroll in his hand and said, "Once I choose the secret manual, how do I learn it?" Yin Yan said, "Open it and then insert a stream of celestial qi into the scroll. After your celestial qi enters the secret manual, it will merge with the martial skill. After the celestial qi flows through the secret manual, it will bring all the information of the martial skill back into your body. Then you can start learning the martial skill." So magical? It wasn't a text, nor was it a picture. Yang Dingtian held his breath and opened the scroll of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword Art. It was made of a special material. There were no words or pictures on it, only very complicated patterns. Some were sunken and some were protruding. These patterns were really very complicated. Furthermore, they were divided into several layers. They were countless times more complicated than the watermarks on the banknotes on Earth. Master, where did these secret manuals come from? Were they written by a top expert a few hundred years ago? Yang Dingtian asked in his heart. No, they were dug out from the ground. They were written by a top expert in the ancient times. The great nirvana extinction destroyed the entire world. Most of the things were destroyed. These secret manuals were also buried underground. Dongfang Minmi said. Great nirvana extinction? What is great nirvana extinction? Yang Dingtian asked. Dongfang Minmi said a few thousand years ago, or more than 10,000 years ago, there was a great nirvana extinction. The entire world was completely destroyed. The entire martial Tao completely collapsed. The primal chaos continent completely fell. The earth became the ocean, and the ocean became the earth. No one knows why there was a great nirvana extinction. However, almost all the strongest secret manuals were left behind from the ancient times. Yang Dingtian was shocked when he heard this. Since the ancient times were so powerful, what kind of energy could destroy that world and cause the great nirvana extinction? However, the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword in his hand came from the ancient times. It was even more extraordinary. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's gaze became even more intense. He placed his palm on the secret manual and was about to insert his celestial qi. Yin held her breath. She looked at Yang Dingtian with worry and anticipation. Time passed by slowly. Yang Dingtian, who had already made up his mind, did not insert his celestial qi. Yin was puzzled. Dongfang Minmi was also puzzled. Child, didn't you already choose this secret manual? Why aren't you inserting your celestial qi? I don't know, Master. Yang Dingtian said. I'm obviously very enthusiastic. Moreover, this is already the highest level secret manual in Cloud Sky City. My heart is filled with the desire to learn it, but I just can't take the last step. I can't find the same feeling as Yang Yunxiao when he saw this secret manual. There's no feeling of sparks flying in all directions. Then Yang Dingtian could not help but ask, Master, what level of secret manual is Dongfang Bingling learning? Dongfang Minmi was silent for a moment. Then he said, it's the most supreme sword technique in the world. It's a 9th grade superior sword technique. In 400 years, she's the only one who learned this sword technique. Instantly, Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. The sword technique that Dongfang Bingling learned was 3 levels higher than Yang Dingtian's. It was countless times more difficult. However, in Cloud Sky City, the highest level secret manual was the Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword in his hand. How should Yang Dingtian choose? Child, listen to your instincts, Dongfang Minmi said slowly. Seeing that Yang Dingtian did not start, Yin could not help but ask, what are you waiting for? Taking a deep breath, Yang Dingtian made a decision. He immediately rolled up the secret manual and put it back in its original place. Yin, are there any other secret manuals? For example, in the 10th room there's a room without any words on the door. What kind of secret manual is inside? Chapter 38. Tears, that place? Yin said, that place is filled with unranked secret manuals. It's all a pile of trash. Trash? Yang Dingtian was puzzled. Yin said, the secret manuals there are very inferior and unranked. Or they can't be cultivated at all. According to the elders, those secret manuals were carelessly written by some weak martial artists in ancient times, but later generations dug them out like treasures. After learning them, they found out that they were completely useless and harmed many people. Every sect has a lot of such trash secret manuals. Take me there. Yang Dingtian said. What are you going to do there? Yin said. Just take me there. Yang Dingtian said. Yin frowned but still took Yang Dingtian out. They went to the 10th room, the storage room for trash secret manuals. Opening the door, a dusty smell came out. It was unknown how long it had been since someone came here. There was a thick layer of dust everywhere. There were no bookshelves here. Countless scrolls were thrown everywhere, and some of them were already broken. Yang Dingtian bent down and picked up a scroll. He opened it halfway and found that half of it was already rotten, so he threw it aside. He picked up another scroll. This secret manual was called Universe Devouring Technique. The name was really heaven-defying. But when he opened it, He found that the lines on it were completely scribbled with a few strokes, and it was broken in several places. Although Yang Dingtian didn't understand these secret manuals, he knew that they were trash. He picked up several secret manuals in succession and found that they were all trash. Originally, he wanted to pick up treasures in the trash, but it was impossible. "Okay, stop looking. It's all trash," Yinyan suddenly said. Who knows how many people had the same idea as you? But in the end they all returned disappointed. "I can tell you that I have read all the trash secret manuals here. At that time, I also had the same idea as you when I came to find treasures." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was extremely disappointed. He could only go back to learn the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. Following Yin Yan, he turned and left the trash secret manual room. Crack! Suddenly there was a cracking sound, and a crack appeared on the hard stone floor. Then, a golden light seeped out. Yang Dingtian was pleasantly surprised that something had happened. He ran over and took a closer look. From the crack in the stone slab, he saw a scroll lying a few feet underground. It was a golden scroll, the only golden scroll that Yang Dingtian had ever seen. Yang Dingtian excitedly dug out the scroll and opened it expectantly. There were 4 words written on it. Pig-slaying swordsmanship. Yang Dingtian almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Other secret manuals' names were either domineering or mysterious, but this pig-slaying swordsmanship was actually so weird. Moreover, there were no patterns on this secret manual. It was completely blank. He then looked at Yin Shimen, who had a strange expression on her face. She sneered, "You think you've picked up a treasure, that you've had a fortuitous encounter. You're at least the 100th person to open this secret manual." Yin said, "This is trash among trash. There's nothing inside. Many people have injected their profound chi into it, but there was no reaction at all. This is a completely blank secret manual." That's right. When Yang Dingtian held the other secret scrolls in his hand, he could feel a surge of energy. However, this pig-slaying sword art had no energy at all. But for some reason, Yang Dingtian had a very strange feeling when he grasped the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Suddenly, the Dongfang Minmi in his mind let out a bewildered voice. "This secret manual is very strange." "How so?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Even if it's a high-level secret manual, when I look at it, I always seem to see an image of martial arts," Dongfang Minmi said, "but now when I look at this secret manual I actually can't see anything." However, it wasn't completely blank either. It was like the vast blue dome of heaven. Looking up, there were only specks of stars. I wanted to get closer, but it was extremely proud and disdained to let me see it. I'm learning a 9th-rank secret manual, but it doesn't have this unattainable feeling. Of course, this is just my feeling, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian said with faint excitement, "Master, I don't know why, but when I hold this secret manual, I have a very special feeling, as if I'm going to devour it, or it's going to devour me." That's right. When he held the chaotic heaven destroyer sword just now, the profound chi in his body was just about to move. But at this time it was a fatal attraction. It was like the endless thirst of a desert for a storm. "Follow your heart. Maybe this is your fate," Dongfang Minmi said slowly. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes to feel for a long time. When he opened his eyes again, his face was full of determination. "This is it. I believe in my own feelings," Yang Dingtian said in his heart. Then he opened his palm and injected profound chi. "Yang Dingtian, you're crazy," Yin said. "There were a few people who had the same idea as you and decided to learn this blank pig-slaying swordsmanship. Do you know what happened after they injected profound chi?" "What?" Yang Dingtian asked. "A blank slate," Yin said. "No matter how high one's talent is, after injecting profound chi to learn the pig-slaying swordsmanship, not only will they learn a blank slate, they will also become a blank slate." One of the 8th-rank geniuses learned the pig-slaying swordsmanship, but his cultivation never improved. Until he died, he didn't even become a novice warrior. Every genius who didn't believe in heresy became complete trash after learning the pig-slaying swordsmanship. This pig-slaying swordsmanship is a disaster. Our Cloud Sky City has long wanted to destroy it, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't destroy it. Later, we buried it under the floorboards here. Who would have thought that the floorboards would split open today, allowing you to discover it? Yin said, in short, if you learn this secret manual, you'll be completely finished. So, no matter what, I won't let you learn this bullshit pig-slaying swordsmanship. Yin said. But my heart tells me that it's what I want. Yang Dingtian said. Many people have the same idea as you. Yin said. Come with me immediately and leave this room. I want to bury this harmful thing again. You go and learn the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. Yang Dingtian held the secret manual tightly and didn't move. His eyes were filled with impulsiveness. Yang Dingtian, are you going to listen to me? Yin said angrily, am I still your wife? Are you going to listen to your wife? Aren't you going to put it down? Why aren't you leaving? Don't force me to make a move. Don't force me to hit my husband. Yin's beautiful eyes were filled with anger. Yang Dingtian looked at Yin and said, I've decided. I want to learn the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Yin was shocked and said, Yang Dingtian, we don't have time for you to take risks. You also don't have the right to take risks. No, definitely not. I must. Yang Dingtian spoke each word with determination. Yin's face changed. She tried to suppress her anger and said gently, be good and listen to me. Go and learn the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. I'm your wife. I'm still counting on you to protect me. Husband. The last word husband was so gentle and coquettish that half of Yang Dingtian's body went numb. Yin's gentle attack almost made Yang Dingtian collapse. However, he gritted his teeth and looked at Yin with determination and said, Yin, I've decided. At this moment, Yang Dingtian seemed to have been possessed by a ghost. Yin stared at Yang Dingtian for a long time. Then she suddenly retreated more than 10 meters. She pulled out a sharp sword and placed it on her neck. She said coldly, okay, you learn. If you learn this disaster, I'll have no hope. I might as well die like this. As long as you inject your profound qi, I'll die in front of you. I Yin have always been very fierce. However, after meeting a bastard like you, I have to swallow my anger. Yin said coldly, do you think I don't dare? As long as you inject your profound qi, I'll slit my throat. Suddenly Yang Dingtian was completely stunned. Yin was so stubborn and determined. He was completely at his wits' end. Of course he couldn't let Yin slit her throat. Could it be that he had to give up on this pig-killing swordsmanship that he longed for so much? Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, Yin, I feel that this thing is destined to be given to me by the heavens. Of course, maybe a lot of people also feel this way. In the end, they all became trash. That's right. I chose this pig-killing swordsmanship because it was a huge risk. Yang Dingtian said, but I came to this world because it was a huge risk. It's an almost impossible risk. Sorry, you can't convince me. Yin said, I'll give you two choices. Put down the secret book and follow me. Or, I'll slit my throat and let my blood spray directly on your face. There's a secret that I didn't tell anyone except my master, including your father. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and slowly said, I came to this world because it was an impossible risk. I'm not a person of this world. What? Yin suddenly cried out in shock. I'm not a person of this world. I came from another world. It's a world that's completely different from the primal chaos continent. It's a world that's completely bizarre in your eyes. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, of course, in that world, there's absolutely no girl as beautiful as you. Impossible. Yin's expression suddenly became incomparably shocked. Her beautiful eyes opened wide. I came from another world, so I want to learn the pig-killing swordsmanship. Yang Dingtian slowly said, I want to take this risk. I want to protect you. I want to complete your father's mission. While speaking, Yang Dingtian injected his internal force into the secret book. Yin just stared blankly at Yang Dingtian. Of course, she didn't slit her throat. Then, something unimaginable happened. When Yang Dingtian injected his internal force into this pig-killing swordsmanship, lines appeared on the secret book. Then the secret book turned into ashes inch by inch. Pig-killing swordsmanship. The lines on the secret book were more dazzling and wonderful than any of the secret books that he had seen before. The entire secret book disappeared inch by inch. Finally, the entire secret book was completely annihilated in Yang Dingtian's hands, and completely disappeared from this world. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and slowly floated in the air. Circles of light were born and circled around Yang Dingtian's body. Finally, the mysterious circles of light completely wrapped Yang Dingtian, just like a baby in his mother's belly. Countless rays of light shot into Yang Dingtian's body. Looking at all this, Yanyan was completely stunned. Chapter 39. Yanyan had never seen such a scene. There had never been a secret manual that would completely disappear after learning it, and there had never been a secret manual that could only be learned by one person. But the pig-killing swordsmanship in front of her had truly become Yang Dingtian's martial skills secret manual. Boom! Yang Dingtian only felt a flash of light in his mind, and suddenly he was in a void illusion. A platform carved out of white jade floated in the sea of clouds, like a fairyland. Yang Dingtian was standing in the middle of this jadestone platform. Yang Dingtian was instantly astonished. How could the learning of martial arts be so mysterious? Who? A gust of wind blew, and the white clouds quickly condensed into a figure. The illusory figure, whose appearance could not be seen clearly, moved with the wind, changing and formless. It's been 10,000 years. Finally, someone came in. That figure sighed, sounding incomparably ancient. Yang Dingtian suppressed his excitement, stepped forward and saluted. Yang Dingtian greets Senior. The figure formed by the clouds glanced at Yang Dingtian, and then quickly approached. A cloud of smoke surrounded Yang Dingtian. Boundless world, no phase, no limit. It's actually someone from another plane world who learned my sword art. Interesting. That figure laughed heartily. Immediately after, a surge of chi energy drilled into Yang Dingtian's body and circulated once. 9 yang profound veins, 1 in a billion. Good. The figure laughed. You are Yang Dingtian? My name is Shiwu Piaoyan, the writer of the pig-killing swordsmanship. Before learning the first stage of the pig-killing swordsmanship, I first want to tell you something. Yes, Senior. Yang Dingtian sat down cross-legged. More than 10,000 years ago, the legendary end of the world was about to come, but no one in the world believed it, because at that time the entire chaotic continent was at the strongest moment of martial arts. As for me, I gradually discovered many clues. Some races suddenly disappeared, and in the depths of the distant sea, an incomparably huge continent suddenly appeared, and stars constantly fell from the sky. Thus, I gave up on my dream of becoming the most powerful person in the world. He roamed the world and traveled 100,000 miles. He wanted to find the source of the apocalypse and save the entire primal chaos continent. But as I walked further and further, I felt that the end of the world was getting closer and closer. The aura of the world's destruction was getting stronger and stronger. I could feel the lack of time. I'm afraid that I won't be able to complete this mission. I need someone to carry on my mission. If I fail in the future, that person can continue to follow in my footsteps and find the source of the apocalypse. Thus, as I continued to walk forward, I separated a portion of my profound energy and soul to write this secret manual, the pig-slaying sword technique. When I was searching for the Naga in the depths of the northernmost secret sea, I wrote the first step of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. As for where I will choose to write the second chapter, and whether I have found the Naga, I can only tell you the answer in the second chapter. According to legend, the Naga race was born from the mating of a dragon and a sea snake. In this world, the race closest to the bloodline of the dragon god was the strongest race in the world. Although there had been legends of the Naga race for thousands of years, and everyone knew the existence of the Naga race, no one had ever seen the Naga race. Dongfang Minmi had traveled all over the world, but he had never seen any traces of the Naga race. Because looking for the source of the apocalypse requires the strongest person in the world to follow in my footsteps, when I wrote this secret manual, I said that only the strongest Xian veins can enter the secret manual to practice. But I didn't expect that I would wait for more than 10,000 years before the person who practiced it came. Yang Dingtian, are you willing to follow in my footsteps, find the source of the apocalypse, and find a way to save the entire primal chaos continent? Shiwu Piaoyan asked slowly. I am willing. Yang Dingtian said, but the apocalypse has already happened. 10,000 years ago the world was destroyed. It has been destroyed? Shiwu Piaoyan's shadow trembled and almost scattered. It was destroyed, it really was destroyed. Shiwu Piaoyan sighed and said, how did it die? Yang Dingtian said, the world changed, the ocean became mountains, and the mountains became the ocean. The earth fell, the rivers disappeared, and the world was turned upside down. Thousands of years after the apocalypse, the surviving human beings began to reproduce again. Relying on the martial arts scroll left from ancient times, they developed the martial arts civilization again. Xiwu Piaoyan sighed for a long time and said, "You haven't found the source of the apocalypse yet, have you?" "No." Yang Dingtian said, "No one is even looking for it." "Then you go and find it." Xiwu Piaoyan said, "When you are strong enough, you will follow in my footsteps to find the source of the apocalypse. Only then can I rest in peace." "Yes, Senior Xiwu," Yang Dingtian said, "but I have many missions now. I need to wait until all my missions are completed before I can find the source of the apocalypse. Of course, before you become a martial sage, you can't follow in my footsteps to find the source of the apocalypse. You can't even pass through the whirling knot," Xiwu Piaoyan said. After Yang Dingtian finished listening, he felt that there was an additional mission on his body. Then let's start learning the first stage of the pig-killing swordsmanship, the Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword. Hearing the name of this sword technique, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but ask, "Senior Xiwu, is this Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword powerful?" Xiwu Piaoyan was stunned, and then said lightly, "The best in the world." Yang Dingtian's body trembled violently, and the blood in his body seemed to surge violently. "Now I will start the first Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword." Suddenly, the smoke figure twisted a shadow sword in his hand and gently swung it. "The first disaster sword of the world." Whoosh! Xiwu Piaoyan's figure was like a red-crowned crane, moving around in the space. The sword light was blurred, and his steps were as elegant as an immortal's. "The second disaster sword of all lives." "The third disaster sword of ruthlessness." "The fourth disaster sword of ecstasy." "The fifth disaster sword of boundless." "The sixth disaster sword of selflessness." "The seventh disaster sword of great mercy." "The eighth disaster sword of nirvana." "The ninth disaster sword of iniquity." Whoosh 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 whoosh. Endless swords and endless shadows. Within 1,000 meters, Xiwu Piaoyan's shadows were all over. Every move, every style left an afterimage in the air. In the entire space, thousands of afterimages condensed in the air. It was magnificent and shocking. Connecting these thousands of shadows together was the complete Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword, the best sword technique in the world. Suddenly Yang Dingtian was completely immersed in this incomparably mysterious and powerful sword technique. This was indeed the best sword technique in the world. Every move was so mysterious, so gorgeous, and so terrifying. It was as if every move exhausted all the spiritual energy between heaven and earth, and every move burned out all the brilliance. It was as if this was not a person performing a sword dance, but an immortal performing a sword dance. The dance represented the vicissitudes of the human world and the disasters of heaven and earth. It was indeed the best sword technique in the world. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, these thousands of afterimages turned into ashes and condensed into Xiwu Piaoyan. "Do you remember it?" Xiwu Piaoyan asked. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and fell into memory. He let the whole Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword replay in his mind, over and over again, and then seemed to be engraved in his mind. "Yes, Senior," Yang Dingtian said. Xiwu Piaoyan said, "Well, I'll do it again." After that, Xiwu Piaoyan floated in the air and performed the Xiwu 9 Disaster Sword again. Another amazing and mysterious scene made Yang Dingtian indulge in it again, as if he was admiring the sword dance of an immortal. Putting away his sword, Xiwu Piaoyan asked, "Do you remember it?" Yang Dingtian fell into deep thought again, recalling the moves just now in his mind. Although it was more difficult than before, he still remembered it. "How do you feel?" Xiwu Piaoyan asked. "Seems that it's different from the first time. The movements are simplified and changed a little," Yang Dingtian said. "Very good." Xiwu Piaoyan smiled and said, "Then I'll do it a third time. Next the fourth time. The fifth time. The sixth time." After the 8th time, Xiwu Piaoyan asked, "Now do you remember it?" Yang Dingtian's face became extremely painful. Finally, he shook his head and said, "I can't remember it because it's different every time. There are even some movements that are completely opposite." "Then what do you feel? What's the impression?" Xiwu Piaoyan asked. Yang Dingtian said, "It's simpler and uglier each time." Xiwu Piaoyan laughed and said, "Well, then you can watch it for the 9th time, which is also the last time." Then Shiwu Piaoyan swung the shadow sword in his hand and performed the Shiwu 9 disaster sword for the 9th time. The sword stabbed straight out. The first move, piercing the throat and letting out blood. Then the sword slashed. The second move, cutting open the stomach. Then the sword slashed down. The third move, cutting off the head. Then the sword turned. The fourth move, digging out the heart and lungs. Then the sword shook violently and moved forward like a snake. The fifth move, cleaning the stomach. Then the light flashed and the sword slashed 4 times from different angles. The sixth move, chopping off the limbs. Then the sword fell from above and slashed vertically. The seventh move, splitting into 2 pieces. Then he swung his sword horizontally and horizontally. The eighth move, scraping the bones and meat. Finally, the long sword pierced downwards once. The ninth move, putting the sword into the chopping board. Soon, Shiwu Piaoyan finished demonstrating the Shiwu 9 disaster sword for the 9th time. At this time, Yang Dingtian was completely stunned. He stood there with his eyes wide open, motionless. From the 1st to the 9th time, he watched helplessly as the incomparably gorgeous, incomparably complex, and incomparably mysterious Shiwu 9 disaster sword became the final pig-killing swordsmanship. The 9 Tao tribulations had become the 9 steps of slaughtering a pig. From so gorgeous to so vulgar, from so complex to so simple, from so high-end to so cheap, from an immortal to a butcher. How do you feel? Shiwu Piaoyan laughed. Yang Dingtian still hadn't calmed down. He originally thought that the pig-killing swordsmanship was just a name to fool people. The real name was the Shiwu 9 disaster sword, which sounded very mysterious. But he didn't expect that the pig-killing swordsmanship was really called the pig-killing swordsmanship. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, "After learning the pig-killing swordsmanship, there will be no sword in the world." Well said. Shiwu Piaoyan laughed and said, "After learning the pig-killing swordsmanship, there will be no sword in the world." Then Shiwu Piaoyan said, "If it was directly the pig-killing swordsmanship, it would be vulgar and not wonderful at all. But from the complicated and mysterious Shiwu 9 disaster sword to the pig-killing swordsmanship step by step, its power is infinite and incomparably powerful. When the martial arts in the world reach the extreme, it is to simplify and return to simplicity. It is as if you can only truly enjoy simplicity after experiencing prosperity. Only when you have experienced magnificence can you have the right to be low-key." After hearing this, Yang Dingtian deeply saluted. This was not only the truth of martial arts, but also the philosophy of the world. Then Shiwu Piaoyan said, "Now try to use this set of Shiwu 9 disaster sword again and again. Follow your feelings and let your xian qi spread with your feelings. Let me see what your talent is, what your comprehension is, and what amazing power this set of swordsmanship will have on you." "Yes, senior," Yang Dingtian said. Then he stretched out his right hand, and suddenly a virtual sword slowly appeared in his hand. Taking a deep breath and closing his eyes, Yang Dingtian entered the world of the Shiwu 9 disaster sword. Whoosh! The sword light flashed and a strong wind blew. Chapter 40. In an instant, Yang Dingtian completely entered the world of the Shiwu 9 disaster sword. His whole heart, his whole spirit, completely entered this deeper sword world. First tribulation, sword of advent. Yang Dingtian fell from the sky, and the sword was like a meteor, stabbing into the hard ground. Bang! A profound chi force shot out, and a white jade slate suddenly shattered and shot in all directions. The sword light was drawn, and the brilliance was overflowing like the Milky Way. It slashed through the splashing stones. Boom! In an instant, countless flying stones shattered into pieces and turned into powder. Second tribulation, sword of all lives. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The long sword trembled and the tip of the sword shot out quickly. Countless rays of light seemed to be densely packed with stars. In an instant, dozens of swords, hundreds of swords. More than 100 cold stars flickered. Whoosh! The sword light drew a circle and condensed the 100 cold stars. Countless cold stars condensed into a thick sword light, striking down like lightning. Boom! The whole ground suddenly exploded. Countless jade stones flew everywhere. Third tribulation, sword of ruthlessness. Whoosh! The cold light circled, and the sword shadow was looming in an instant. It was as if it had not arrived yet, and it was unknown where the sword shadow was. Suddenly a cold light burst out as bright as a star. Swish! The sword light flashed. Bang bang bang. The air was torn apart inch by inch. The head of the stone lion in the distance was silently cut off. The sword of ruthlessness was neither close nor distant. If the shadow reappeared, it was ruthless and cold. Fourth tribulation, sword of ecstasy. The air flowed and the sword shadow instantly turned graceful, straight and curved, cold and soft. The sound of the sword was like weeping and complaining. The figure holding the sword was like a lone goose, like spiraling smoke. It wandered unpredictably, circling around. It was gentle like water, curling like smoke. Whoosh! Suddenly, this gentle sword rainbow turned into a fierce ecstasy lock in an instant. Kill, kill, kill. Destroy, destroy, destroy. The sword shadow faded, and the dust settled. The surroundings had been turned into powder. Fifth tribulation, sword of boundless. The heart was boundless, the sword was boundless. He thought that if he was the enemy, his murderous aura filled the air. There was nothing he couldn't kill and nothing he couldn't destroy. The sixth tribulation, selfless sword. Where did I come from? Where am I going? Without me, where would the sword go? If the heavens were heartless, why would I exist? The seventh tribulation, sword of great mercy. Victory is sorrow, defeat is sorrow. Life is sad, death is sad. The sorrowful sword breaks the intestines, each sword breaks the human soul. The eighth tribulation, sword of nirvana. Heaven and earth were destroyed. Life is short, but there are things to ask for and things to return to. What was there to be afraid of? At worst, heaven and earth would destroy him. The ninth tribulation, innocuous sword. There was nothing to be sad about. The limit of fear did not matter. At the end of the calamity there is no sorrow, no joy, no fear, no calamity. He sheathed his sword and stood there. For a long time Yang Dingtian's body and soul were unable to break free. Whoosh! Suddenly, the smoke that had been surrounding Yang Dingtian suddenly dissipated. It fell to the ground and condensed into Xu Wupiaoyan's figure. At this time the whole ground was a mess. Hundreds of meters and thousands of meters of the suspended platform were all destroyed by Yang Dingtian's sword. Wake up! Xu Wupiaoyan shouted softly. Yang Dingtian's eyes gradually changed from blurred to sober. Looking at the messy mirror image around him, he showed an incredible expression. What happened just now? How come I don't know at all? I don't remember at all? How do you feel? Xu Wupiaoyan asked. It feels like a lifetime ago. Yang Dingtian said, such exquisite swordsmanship. I have never seen or heard of it. After the pig-slaying swordsmanship, there is no sword in the world. But what? Xu Wupiaoyan asked. But the Shiwu 9 disaster sword I use seems to be different from the one you demonstrated, Yang Dingtian said. It doesn't need to be the same, Xu Wupiaoyan said. The sword is not fixed. If the person is different, the sword will be different. Otherwise it will be a dead sword. The Shiwu 9 disaster sword pursues the spirit, not the form. Then, Xu Wupiaoyan said, do you want to hear my evaluation of you? Please. Yang Dingtian said. Your talent is unseen and unheard of, Xu Wupiaoyan said. Just now, when you used the Shiwu 9 disaster sword for the first time, it made people feel a deep sense of despair. But this is not only because of your talent, but also because of your joy and anger, your gratitude and resentment. You have experienced so many things at such a young age, so your sword is full of endless stories and has become incomparably distant and profound. But what? Yang Dingtian asked. If you put your mind too much into it, it will easily hurt others and yourself. You should know that this Shiwu 9 disaster sword is the most complicated, the most profound, the most gorgeous, and the most mysterious. However, the ultimate goal is to return to the original, to return to the vulgar and elegant pig-killing swordsmanship. Therefore, don't try too hard. If you try too hard, your fate will end early. What should be emptied will be emptied. Xu Wupiaoyan said slowly. Yang Dingtian suddenly fell into deep thought. After a long time he said, Senior, although there are many things that I can't do now, I will understand your words. Now do I need to practice it a second time? Xu Wupiaoyan shook his head and said, no need. Such a sword technique can be learned once in the secret book. Learn as much as you can. After leaving the illusory void, you can comprehend it by yourself. How do you feel at this time? Yang Dingtian said, there is a vigorous energy, as if it is about to burst out. Shu Piaoyan said, any secret book in the world contains the pure vitality energy of the writer. The first time you learn it, you can clean your Xian meridians, absorb the Xian qi between heaven and earth, and expand your Xian meridians and sea of qi. Therefore, when you learn martial arts for the first time, you will have a breakthrough. Ordinary secret books can break through 1 star, and excellent secret books can break through 2 stars. With the mystery of the pig-killing swordsmanship in your talent, you can break through 4 stars. When you return to reality, your sea of qi will have a powerful breakthrough. At that time, you will be a 4-star novice martial artist or even higher. Really? Yang Dingtian was ecstatic. Of course it's true, said Shu Piaoyan. However, you only have one chance like this. Only once in your life. Yang Dingtian said hopefully, then in half a month, can I break through to become a 6-star Xian martial artist? Shu Piaoyan was stunned for a moment, then he shook his head and said, impossible. Martial arts 10,000 years ago were much more prosperous than now, but it was impossible. Even a peerless genius needed 3 months to go from an enlightener to a 6-star Xian martial artist. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt a chill in his heart. The person in front of him was not a grand master, but an extremely powerful saint from 10,000 years ago. If he said no, then there was really no possibility of change. There is no possibility. It has never happened in tens of thousands of years? Yang Dingtian was full of unwillingness. There is no possibility. This completely violates the greatest theorem of the human body and nature, Shu Piaoyan said. Yang Dingtian let out a breath of air forcefully. By the way, what day is it today? Shu Piaoyan suddenly asked. Double calendar, September 1st, Yang Dingtian said. Is it heaven's will? Shu Piaoyan was stunned and muttered to himself. Yang Dingtian's heart suddenly jumped. Is there hope? Senior Shu Piaoyan said, in 12 days, September 13th, it will be the Yin-Yang festival that occurs once every 300 years. At that time, the 2 moons will cover the 2 suns, and the world will be pitch black. At that moment, Yin and Yang will blend, and the Xian qi between heaven and earth will suddenly become incomparably pure. Warriors in the world can only absorb Xian qi every morning because the Xian qi at this time is relatively pure. But even so, after swallowing 10 buckets of Xian qi, there will be less than 1% left. This is because Yin and Yang coexist and the Xian qi is not pure. If you swallow too much, your life will be in danger. But at the moment of the Yin-Yang festival, the Xian qi between heaven and earth will be instantly purified. At this stage, the Xian qi can be absorbed for one's own use almost without refining or eliminating it. Therefore, the effect of swallowing Xian qi at that moment is 100 times better than usual. Yang Dingtian asked at that time, can I break through to a 6-star Xian martial artist? Of course not. Shu Piaoyan said, although the effect of swallowing Xian qi is 100 times better than usual, after all, the time is too short. It's almost instantaneous. Therefore, we still need to organize a large formation. This formation is called the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Formation. Have you heard of it? Never heard of it. Yang Dingtian, not only Yang Dingtian, but Dongfang Minmi had never heard of it, so it must have been lost during the Great Nirvana. When a person swallows Xian qi, he can only absorb Xian qi within 10 feet at most. As for the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Formation, it can swallow Xian qi within a few miles, or it can swallow Xian qi within dozens of miles or hundreds of miles, Shu Piaoyan said. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's blood boiled. He needed to break through to a 6-star Xian martial artist on September 15th, and 13 days later, there would be a once in 300 years total solar eclipse in the Yin-Yang realm. Wasn't this fate? Then I can break through to a 6-star Xian martial artist at that time, right? Yang Dingtian asked. Maybe, but it's also very difficult. Shu Piaoyan said, in my era, there was someone who used the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Formation on the Yin-Yang festival, and broke through to the 13th level. In the end, he became the strongest person in the world. Your talent is amazing, but reaching the 16th level is too amazing. Yang Dingtian said excitedly, even if there is a little hope, I will do my best. Senior, can you tell me what to do? How should I arrange this Yin-Yang 5 Elements Formation? Shu Piaoyan said, you need to find a circular plot of land. This circle is half Yin and half Yang. There is Yang in Yin and Yin in Yang, but they are clearly separated. Then, arrange a pentagram in this circle. and put the demon nuclei of the 5 elements in the 5 corners. Lightning on the top, ice and fire on the left, and metal and wind on the bottom. In this way you can arrange the yin-yang 5 elements formation. The stronger the formation, the more qian-qi it can condense. You are in the eye of the formation, and when the 2 moons cover the 2 suns, endless qian-qi energy will pour into your body from the top of your head. At this time the energy is incomparably pure, and can directly enter your sea of qi for your own use. At that time you only need to run the unique qian-swallowing formula of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, and you can refine the qian-qi into your sea of qi. I will remember, senior. Yang Dingtian said excitedly. Remember, the demon nuclei of the 5 elements must be obtained by hunting the demon beasts with your own hands. You can't borrow the hands of others, because the moment before the demon beasts die, they will instill your energy, aura, and impression into the demon nuclei. If you don't hunt the demon nuclei with your own hands, the formation will not be compatible with you, and the consequences will be unimaginable. The endless qian-qi will tear you to pieces in an instant. I will remember, senior, Yang Dingtian said. Well, then you can go out and return to your real world. A long time should have passed. I am going to disappear too, Shiwu Piaoyan said. Suddenly, a cool feeling poured into the top of his head. Yang Dingtian gradually woke up and returned to reality. Chapter 41. Wait. Suddenly Shiwu Piaoyan said. Yang Dingtian's figure stopped abruptly. There was darkness in front of him, and he could only see the figure of Shiwu Piaoyan formed by a white light. There is a way that may allow you to have a greater breakthrough, but I can't guarantee that it will succeed, Shiwu Piaoyan said. Senior, please tell me. Yang Dingtian said. Empty body and empty meridians. Shiwu Piaoyan said. A martial artist practices martial arts for 12 hours a day and practices qi for 2 hours. Practicing martial arts can increase the capacity of the qian meridians and sea of qi. Practicing qi can fill in the space for these increases. Over time you can achieve a breakthrough. On the day of the yin-yang festival, if the formation is big enough and strong enough, you may have a very strong and vigorous qian-qi. How much you can have a breakthrough is determined by the rate of absorption of your qian meridians and sea of qi. In a short period of time, how much qian-qi can be swallowed is how much you can have a breakthrough. Then, if you want to have enough space in your sea of qi and qian meridians, you need to forge your body and forge your meridians. Shiwu Piaoyan said, you keep practicing the sword but you don't practice qi. First, I will lock your meridians, not letting any qian-qi enter, suppressing the desire of your sea of qi to break through, so that your sea of qi and qian meridians are fully empty. At that time you can swallow the most qian-qi and get a greater breakthrough. In this way you may have a greater chance of breaking through to a 6-star qian martial artist. Shiwu Piaoyan said, of course, this is just a prediction of mine. It may not become a reality. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, then do it this way. It's good to have a little more hope. Whoosh whoosh. 2 rays of light suddenly drilled into the top of Yang Dingtian's head. He only felt that his qian meridians were stagnant, and then his whole body seemed to be floating. You can unlock the seal of this meridians at any time. If you don't unlock it, then at the moment of the total solar eclipse, endless qian-qi will pour into your body and automatically break it open. Shiwu Piaoyan said. Yes, senior. Yang Dingtian. Then to what extent should I practice the sword to make my qian meridians and sea of qi reach the peak? The ultimate is, of course, when you can use the highest level of the Shiwu 9 disaster sword, the pig-slaying swordsmanship. At that time, you will be able to unleash the full power of this sword technique. Shiwu Piaoyan said. But that's too difficult. You need to practice the sword tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of times. You don't have much time, so you can practice the sword 10,000 times at most. You can reach whatever level you want. Because in the following time, you will personally hunt for the 5 types of demon nuclei, and find a suitable place to set up the formation. Yes, senior. Practice the sword 10,000 times. Whatever level you can reach, that is, Yang Dingtian said. Then goodbye. See you at the 2nd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, Shiwu Piaoyan said. Then his figure disappeared bit by bit. I hope I can tell you more by then. Remember, don't tell anyone my secret. Then Shiwu Piaoyan's figure disappeared completely. Yang Dingtian slowly opened his eyes as if he had just woken up from a dream. He saw that Yin Yin was sleeping on the ground at this time. Her plump and charming body was curled up like an insecure little beast. She had fallen asleep. He didn't know how much time had passed. Yang Dingtian stepped forward and gently pushed Yin Yin's shoulder. "Who is it?" Yin Yin was shocked. She suddenly opened her beautiful eyes and quickly placed her sword on Yang Dingtian's neck. "Why are you sleeping here?" Yang Dingtian asked. "You stayed in the light circle for a whole day and night motionless. Where else would I sleep if not here?" Yin Yin got up and said, "A whole day and night?" Yang Dingtian said in surprise, "I feel like it's only been a while." Yin Yin's beautiful eyes were full of expectation and worry as she looked at Yang Dingtian. She seemed to want to see if Yang Dingtian was different from before. She said, "Ordinary secret techniques take at most 3 hours to learn for the first time. You actually took a whole day and night. This set of pig-killing swordsmanship must be extraordinary. Have you learned it?" "I learned the first stage of pig-killing swordsmanship, Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword," Yang Dingtian said. Hearing this awe-inspiring name, Yin Yin's beautiful eyes tightened. She said, "Why don't you show it to me? Let's see how powerful it is." "Okay." Yang Dingtian stretched out his hand. "Let me borrow your sword." Yin Yin suddenly remembered that Yang Dingtian didn't have a sword yet. She immediately handed her sword over. After taking the sword, Yang Dingtian slowly closed his eyes and slowly breathed in and out. When he opened his eyes again, he gently pulled out a sword flower and pinched a sword technique. Suddenly, his heart and spirit entered the world of Shiwu 9 Disaster's sword. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the sword light was like a rainbow, and the sword whistled like a tide. In this abandoned secret book room, Yang Dingtian used Shiwu 9 Disaster's sword. The first tribulation, sword of descent. The second tribulation, sword of life. The third tribulation, sword of ruthlessness. The eighth tribulation, sword of nirvana. The ninth tribulation, sword of non-tribulation. Suddenly, the dark secret room seemed to have entered another world. Boundless sword shadows, boundless flowing colors. The sword blade was as cold as water, weaving a mysterious picture scroll in this space. 6 minutes later, Yang Dingtian put away his sword and stood. Although this was not as perfect as he was in the illusory environment, he was already satisfied. He felt that he played very well. Then he looked at Yin Yin with expectation. Yin Yin's beautiful eyes were blurred and full of splendor. She said, This is Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword? I have never seen such a beautiful and wonderful sword technique." Then Yin Yin seemed to think of something, and her face suddenly turned pale. She said, "What about Xian Qi? When you used this set of sword technique, why didn't I feel any Xian Qi? How many levels did you break through to learn this set of secret books?" Suddenly, Yang Dingtian did not know how to answer. There will be breakthroughs in the beginning of any secret book in the world. When I learned Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword for the first time, I broke through 3 levels and directly went from an enlightener to a 3-star novice martial artist. Yin Yin said, "I remember the set of sword technique you used just now was beautiful, but it was only in appearance and had no power at all. It was like a dance, not a sword technique." "Now I will let you see the real sword technique," Yin Yin said. After speaking, Yin Yin took the sword in Yang Dingtian's hand and quickly stabbed the first sword. Suddenly it was like a rainbow piercing the sun, and like a meteor streaking across the sky. Suddenly the air was distorted, and the sword in her hand was seeped with a trace of red, as if it was burned red. Whoosh! Then the second sword was like a stormy sea, and the wind and clouds surged. The sword let out a dragon and tiger roar, and the air turned into a mass of red, winding around the treasured sword. Suddenly, it was as if a fire dragon was circling around the sword. Roar! The third sword was like a violent storm and a tsunami. The sword roared and the fire dragon on the sword roared loudly, igniting and tearing the air inch by inch. The surrounding space of dozens of square meters suddenly darkened, and the whole space was swallowed by the energy array formed by the sword. On the tip of the sword, there was a dazzling light, as if it was formed by the surrounding light. Bang! Finally, the fire dragon on the sword spat out the light. Boom! The light hit the ground and suddenly, it tore a 5-foot crack on the hard ground. Yin Yin put away the sword and said, "This is the first time I learned the power of Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, and it was enough to tear a 5-foot crack on the ground. And you couldn't even tear a scroll." Seeing that Yin was about to flip out, Yang Dingtian hurriedly said, "Don't worry, don't worry. My set of sword art is different from all the secret manuals. I didn't break through now because I locked my meridians and didn't want to break through so that my Xian meridians and Qi could be released for a greater breakthrough in the future." After listening to Yang Dingtian's explanation, Yin stared at him with her beautiful eyes, then shook her head and said, "I've never heard of such a thing. Because this is pig-killing sword art, and it's different from all the other sword arts." Yang Dingtian said, "I only saw that you didn't break through when you learned this set of sword art." Yin slightly frowned and said, "Then tell me, when can you break through? And how much can you break through?" 12 days later, on the 13th of September, Yin Yang Festival. Yang Dingtian said, "I don't know how much I can break through. Are you kidding?" Yang Dingtian. Yin immediately said unhappily, "Why don't you say that you can break through on the 15th of September during the elimination battle? Because that day is very special. It's the Yin Yang Festival, so the breakthrough will be discovered on that day. I have no intention of delaying it." Yang Dingtian said firmly, "You're my husband, so of course I'm willing to believe you. But the reality is that I don't see any Xian Qi in your sword art, and there's no breakthrough at all." Yin tried her best to be gentle and said, "I'm afraid that you'll get lost and fall into your own illusion. It's obviously a set of sword art that looks like a woman's dance, but you treat it as a peerless sword art, and are unable to extricate yourself from it. If that's the case, we'll really be finished." "Husband, I'm afraid because I suddenly thought of someone." Yin's beautiful eyes trembled as she recalled a terrifying memory. Then Yin continued, "His name is Yang Yunchong, the eldest son of Yang Lai's grandfather. Originally, my father wouldn't have had the chance to become Cloud Sky City's lord. Yang Yunchong's talent is even higher than my father's, and he's #1 in the entire Northwest continent. Everyone thought that he would become the strongest Cloud Sky City's lord in history. At the age of 23, he was already a martial ancestor realm expert and was famous throughout the world. However, one day, he discovered the pig-slaying swordsmanship and was immediately tempted. Then, he used the Xian dissociation pill to wash away his chaotic heaven destroyer sword, which had already reached the martial mystic realm, and started learning the pig-slaying swordsmanship from the beginning. No one could persuade him. It was as if he had completely gone mad. Then he turned from a peerless genius to a complete waste. In the end, he went completely crazy. Thus, Cloud Sky City lost its most outstanding successor. From then on, the pig-slaying swordsmanship became a disaster." Yin said with a pained expression, "Just now I was shocked by the secret you told me. When you said that you weren't from this world, I was stunned. Then you inserted your Xian Qi into the pig-slaying swordsmanship. I wanted to stop you, but it was too late. Do you know how worried I was and how regretful I was?" Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and suppressed his agitated emotions. He said, "He couldn't learn it because his Xian veins weren't strong enough. You don't know what I encountered in the world of the secret manual." "What did you encounter?" Yin asked while holding back her anger. "An incomparably mysterious illusory world. A very white elder taught me this incomparably powerful 9 tribulations void sword." Yang Dingtian said, "I can only say this much because I have to keep the other aspects a secret. I can't say more." When he said this, Yin's beautiful face suddenly turned pale. She trembled and said, "Yang Dingtian, what you said is exactly the same as what Yang Yunchong said back then." Then he fell into madness. Suddenly, Yin's face revealed a terrified expression. Yang Dingtian's body shook. Then he shook his head and said, "That's impossible. I'm the only one who truly entered the pig-slaying swordsmanship. I don't know what happened to Yang Yunchong. Maybe it was his hallucination. Whether the swordsmanship is real or fake, I'm very clear in my heart." Then her voluptuous body gently snuggled up. She stroked Yang Dingtian's face and said with a gentleness she had never shown before, "Husband, don't walk on Yang Yunchong's path. Just listen to Yin this time. We'll use the profound association pill to wash away this disastrous pig-slaying swordsmanship. We should learn the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword. Okay? As long as you agree, no matter what you say in the future, I'll listen to you." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's body trembled. Yin thought he was moved. She said tenderly, "Husband, Yin will rely on you in the future. Let's use the safest method, okay? Use the profound association pill to wash away the pig-slaying swordsmanship. We should learn the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword. Then I'll sleep with you and give you my xianqi, okay? This is a 100% success rate. Seeing Yang Dingtian's expressionless face, Yinyan's face gradually turned cold. She said, Yang Dingtian, this is the last time I'm begging you. If you don't agree, I'll leave immediately. I won't say another word. From now on, I won't care about your matters. We'll stop here. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He said, no, I don't agree. Then Yang Dingtian looked at her deeply and said, Shimin Yinyan, I'm very grateful for your selflessness. But as husband and wife, I feel that mutual trust is more precious. 12 days later, I'll prove to you that my insistence is right. But if you're wrong, then you'll not only destroy yourself but all of us. Yinyan said coldly, then turned around and walked out. Chapter 42. Before leaving, Yinyan couldn't help but turn back and say, Yang Dingtian, believe me. Everything you saw was just an illusion. You're walking down the same path as Yang Yunchong. As your wife, I beg you to come back and take the safe and successful path, okay? Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and smiled at Yinyan. I'm sorry. I think I'm right. Yinyan's face suddenly turned pale. Since you chose to believe in an illusion instead of your wife, why did you choose to believe in it? From now on, we have nothing to do with each other except for the so-called husband and wife. After saying that, Yinyan staggered and ran out of the door. Yang Dingtian gasped for breath as he tried to calm down his agitated emotions. I firmly believe that everything I've seen isn't an illusion. The path I've chosen is correct. Yang Dingtian emphasized each and every word. Then Yang Dingtian couldn't help but ask in his heart, Master, did you see the scene of me learning swordsmanship on a floating platform? Dongfang Minmi was silent for a moment and said, I didn't see anything. Yang Dingtian's body suddenly trembled and his face turned pale. Then Dongfang Minmi said, But I believe in your choice. I also believe in my choice, Yang Dingtian said. Then he grasped the steel sword in his hand tightly. Shiwu Piaoyan wanted him to practice the sword 10,000 times. Time was very tight. There was no time to delay. He had to start now. Just as Yang Dingtian walked out of the hidden art pavilion and was looking for a desolate and spacious place to practice his sword, someone blocked his path. It was a tall and handsome youth who was leading a group of teenagers. You're that toad who wants to eat swan meat, the one who dreams of becoming the lord of Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian, the young man said coldly. I'm Yang Dingtian, please excuse me, said Yang Dingtian. My name is Tang Jin, Tang Boizhao's son. Tang Xian, whom you insulted yesterday, is my sister. The young man pointed at Yang Dingtian. What can I do for you? Yang Dingtian asked. A cruel smile appeared on Tang Jin's face as he said, Nothing much, I'm just here to warn you. 13 days later, in the great elimination battle, not only will I kick you out of Cloud Sky City, I won't let you leave Cloud Sky City in one piece. I will treat you well and let you see clearly who is the real master of Cloud Heaven City. Yang Dingtian's heart trembled. He looked deeply at Tang Jin and said, I heard it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Then Yang Dingtian pushed aside the two youths in front of him and left the hidden merit pavilion. Yang Dingtian, I am a 1-star mystic martial warrior. 13 days later, I will make you regret coming to Cloud Sky City. Walking to the suspension bridge, Yang Dingtian heard Tang Jin's cold voice from behind him. Yang Dingtian's body froze. A 1-star mystic martial warrior was 5 levels higher than his target, a 6-star mystic martial warrior. Moreover, it was a jump in rank. If he wanted to win, it would be difficult to ascend to the heavens. But what if the pig-slaying swordsmanship was really the best sword technique in the world? I'm counting on you, buddy. Yang Dingtian raised the sword in his hand and thought to himself, we're all beasts who can't turn back even if we hit a wall. Don't disappoint me. Brother Tang, why don't we break his arms and legs now? At this moment, a handsome youth on the side said, Do you want to die by attacking him in Cloud Sky City? Tang Jin said coldly, But once we leave Cloud Sky City, it's hard to say. I understand. That handsome young man smiled at I in order to prove that his choice was correct. Yang Dingtian didn't sleep or rest in the following days. Every day besides eating, he practiced the pig-slaying swordsmanship. As expected, Yinyan didn't appear again. She didn't even look at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian practiced the pig-slaying swordsmanship all the time in a secluded area behind the mountain. He didn't even go back to eat. He brought some dry rations and hastily ate them with the spring water. Later he didn't even eat. First he went back to sleep. Later Yinyan's maid Luer locked the door to his room. Yang Dingtian simply didn't go back to sleep. Every day when he was extremely tired, he would find a random spot to sleep. He practiced the sword 10,000 times. In the beginning he needed a full 5 minutes to complete one cycle of the 9 tribulations sword. 10,000 cycles would take a full 50,000 minutes, which was close to 900 hours. In other words, even if he didn't sleep or rest, he would still need more than a month. This was impossible. Yang Dingtian didn't have that much time. No, there must be some progress to simplify the 9 tribulations sword. Yang Dingtian desperately tried to recall how Shiwu Piaoyan returned to simplicity step by step on the suspended void platform. Dozens of times, 100 times, 200 times. A whole day passed and Yang Dingtian didn't make any progress. It was still that incomparably complicated and incomparably gorgeous Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. It still needed 5 minutes. Yang Dingtian stopped, looked up at the night sky and said, "Master, why is it like this? Child, you are carrying too much. You are exerting too much force." Dongfang Minmi said, "Empty yourself first. I will teach you a set of formless heart sutra. It can let you completely enter a state of selflessness." Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, looked at the pool below and jumped in. A cool feeling suddenly spread throughout his body. Then, under the guidance of Dongfang Minmi, Yang Dingtian began to learn the Formless Heart Sutra. Suddenly, it was as if a force suddenly grabbed everything from his mind. At first, it grabbed his unwillingness. Then it grabbed his anger. Then it grabbed his memories. Finally, it even grabbed the Shiwu 9 tribulation sword that he was madly practicing. Now you go and practice the sword again. Don't count the time, don't count the number of times, just practice like this. Suddenly Yang Dingtian jumped out of the water and stabbed the first sword of the Shiwu 9 tribulation sword, the Sword of Advent. "Master, from now on, I will enter a state of selflessness and practice the sword like a madman. Wake me up when I have practiced it 10,000 times. If it is less than 10,000 times, no matter how much time has passed, don't wake me up. Go forward regardless of the consequences. I am a beast that is madly moving forward." "Who?" Yang Dingtian rushed out of the water, the sword in his hand like the wind. A few hours later, he suddenly entered the second level of the Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. It only took 2 minutes to practice 9 moves. Oh! The next day, Yang Dingtian was still in the second level. It still took 2 minutes to practice 9 moves. On this day, he didn't sleep or rest and practiced the sword 700 times. On the third day, he suddenly entered the third level of the Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. It only took him a minute and a half to practice the Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. On this day, he not only didn't sleep or rest, but also didn't eat a bite. He practiced the sword 1,000 times. On the fourth day, he didn't make any progress. It still took him a minute and a half to practice the Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. He was still in the third level, practicing the sword 1,000 times. At this time he had practiced the sword 3,000 times. There were still 7,000 times left. And there were less than 8 days before the Yin-Yang festival and the total solar eclipse. He didn't hunt a single demon nucleus. Nor did he find the Yin-Yang place to set up the array. On the 5th day he still didn't make any progress. On this day, he was still in the third level of the Shiwu 9 tribulations sword. At this speed, the Yin-Yang festival and the total solar eclipse would be over by the time he practiced the sword 10,000 times. At this time, Yang Dingtian had completely entered a state of selflessness. He completely forgot the time, forgot everything around him, forgot the Yin-Yang festival a few days later, forgot the Yin-Yang 5 elements formation, forgot the elimination battle 9 days later. After 5 days and 5 nights without rest, Yang Dingtian's clothes were already ragged. His hair and beard were long, and his face was haggard like a beggar. About the 3rd day, someone accidentally found Yang Dingtian practicing the sword crazily. Seeing him practicing the pig-slaying swordsmanship over and over again, that person quickly ran to Cloud Sky City and wantonly spread the news. At this time it was the 3rd level of the 9 tribulations sword, and it was already very ugly. Yang Dingtian's third level of the 9 Tribulations sword gave people a strange feeling. That idiot who wants to be the city lord is crazy. He actually treats the pig-slaying swordsmanship like a treasure, practicing it over and over again. I've seen it no less than 1,000 times, and the more he practiced, the uglier it became. Then, more and more people went to the back of the mountain to watch Yang Dingtian practice the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Seeing the sword technique that looked more and more like a pig-slaughtering action, everyone suddenly laughed until their stomachs hurt. City Lord Yang Dingtian, your pig-slaying swordsmanship is so powerful. I feel relaxed and happy watching it. Can I worship you as my master? Yang Dingtian had already entered a state of madness and turned a deaf ear to the ridicule of others. Suddenly, everyone's ridicule became even more intense. Later, many children ran over to watch and threw dirt at Yang Dingtian. But to the higher-ups of Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian's crazy behavior made them think of one person. Yang Yunchong, the genius who had amazing talent, but after learning the pig-slaying swordsmanship, he went completely crazy. Someone saw Yang Dingtian enter the rankless secret manual room, and the swordsmanship he practiced was as strange as those crazy people. So, everyone thought that Yang Dingtian chose the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Yang Dingtian went crazy. Under unparalleled pressure, he chose the pig-slaying swordsmanship and then he went crazy. Everyone in Cloud Sky City was jeering. What a pitiful person. He would be an outstanding disciple anywhere else. Why did he come to Cloud Sky City? Great Elder Yang Yin sneered. Everyone in Cloud Sky City, including those within 100 miles, quickly knew one thing. Yang Dingtian went crazy. Just like Yang Yunchong, he went crazy. At this time, night had already fallen. Yang Dingtian was still practicing his swordsmanship crazily. In just a few days, his beard had grown to half a finger's length, and his hair was like weeds. His original appearance was completely unrecognizable. The clothes on his body had long been torn into strips and were covered with dirt. He really looked like a beggar. At this time, the people who were watching and throwing rocks at him had already gone back to sleep. Under the moonlight, Yang Dingtian practiced his swordsmanship crazily. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's figure changed. Whoosh 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 whoosh. His swordsmanship became incomparably sharp and fast. Without warning, he entered the 4th stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. It only took 30 seconds to finish practicing one round of the 9 Tribulations sword. In an hour, he could practice 120 times. At this speed, the remaining 6,000 times would take 50 hours. 2 days would be enough. 2 days later, there were less than 5 days before the total solar eclipse. He needed to hunt for 5 types of demon nuclei and find the place to set up the array within these 5 days. However, only 2 hours later, without warning, Yang Dingtian instantly entered the 5th stage of the Shiwu 9 Tribulations sword. Suddenly, the swordsmanship completely changed. All the elegance, all the magnificence, all the mystery, all disappeared. All the moves instantly became vulgar and direct. At this time, the Shiwu 9 Tribulations sword underwent a qualitative change. It directly crossed the dividing line from the Shiwu 9 Tribulations sword to the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Of course, the highest level of the pig-slaying swordsmanship was the 9th stage. But from the 5th stage onwards, it could be called the pig-slaying swordsmanship. The 5th stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, because the moves were direct and short, only took 12 seconds to practice. In an hour, Yang Dingtian could practice the sword 300 times. He thought it would be over. But what he didn't expect was that more than 3 hours later, Yang Dingtian's swordsmanship changed again. The swordsmanship became more vulgar, more direct and faster. The 9 moves of the pig-slaying swordsmanship only took 9 seconds. 1 hour could practice the sword 400 times. A few hours later, the sun shone. Yang Dingtian's body was in a mess, completely like a savage. The steel sword in his hand was completely damaged and full of gaps. Yang Dingtian's swordsmanship had entered the extreme ugly and vulgar. Child, it's 10,000 times. Suddenly, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian was shocked and woke up in an instant. Suddenly, his wrists were hot, his limbs were hot, the back of his head was hot, and his whole body was hot. Boom! The depths of the sea of qi seemed to swell violently. Boom! In an instant, the whole body's Xian meridian suddenly exploded, and the whole body seemed to fly into the air. In the body, there seemed to be countless flames burning. All the Xian meridians and the fiery sea of qi desperately and incomparably hungry to devour the Xian qi all over the sky. Yang Dingtian had completely woken up. 10,001 times. After waking up, Yang Dingtian used all his strength and all his emotions and waved the steel sword in his hand. The last time he practiced the pig-slaying swordsmanship. The first move, piercing the throat and letting out blood. The second move, cutting open the stomach. The third move, cutting off the head. The fourth move, digging out the heart and lungs. The fifth move, cleaning the stomach. The sixth move, chopping off the limbs. The seventh move, splitting into 2 pieces. The eighth move, scraping the bones and flesh. The ninth move, sword into the chopping board. Bang! The giant sword made a sound and sparks splashed everywhere. The last sword, Yang Dingtian slashed on a boulder. Dang! In an instant, the steel sword in his hand broke inch by inch. The last time, the last move. Who? Yang Dingtian's swordsmanship suddenly entered the 7th level of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. At the last moment he entered the 7th level. Xu Piaoyan said that he needed to practice the sword more than 100,000 times, hundreds of thousands of times, to enter the high level of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. However, after only 10,001 times, Yang Dingtian entered the 7th level. Yang Dingtian suddenly roared and roared, I did it, I did it. I am right, you are wrong, you are crazy. Then he saw Yin Yan. The beautiful and unparalleled Yin Yan, her eyes gentle and full of concern, slowly walked towards him. Chapter 43. Sin. Yin Yan's eyes turned bitter as she muttered. Then, she slowly walked to Yang Dingtian's side and gently grabbed his half-broken iron sword. She grabbed his muddy right hand and gently said, Come, follow me home. Yang Dingtian stopped, and his fiery red eyes gradually became sober. He looked at Yin and said, Go home? Oh, okay. During this period of time, countless sarcastic remarks entered Yin Yan's ears. City Lord Shiman was a hero, but he actually made a mistake and chose an idiot madman as his son-in-law. It's really a pity for Shiman Yin Yan to marry such a trash. Such a beautiful woman was pushed into the fire pit. Tisk, how could young lady Shiman like this trash? You still don't know, right? Young lady Shiman is still pure and flawless. They aren't even a real couple. She just can't go against City Lord Shiman's will. Young lady Shiman only needs to wait for a year and a half. After that trash is killed by Shiman Yan, she can openly remarry. All these voices entered Shiman Yin Yan's ears. Some of them were heard by her, while some were told to her by her maidservant Lu. Although many people didn't dare to say it, their gazes towards her became very strange. One day, Shiman Ju met her on the road and asked, Is this the hope you found? Shiman Lai couldn't stay in Black Blood Castle any longer, so he specially came to Cloud Heaven City to find Shiman Yin Yan and asked, Are you going to let him continue like this? At that time, Shiman Yin Yan was silent and didn't answer. Grand Elder Yang Yan once talked to her and said, It's not too late for you to regret now. The Northwest Qing clan can temporarily ignore the scandal of you marrying a madman. As long as you are willing, our Cloud Heaven City can announce to the public that you, Shiman Yin Yan, have never married anyone, let alone a madman. Shiman Yin Yan was still silent as she responded, These people are too despicable. I wish I could tear their mouths off. Luer said furiously, Their words are getting more and more unpleasant. They really don't have a conscience. If it weren't for the city lord, how could they have their current glory and wealth? Now not only are they laughing at that madman, they even dare to laugh at young Mississippi. Their mouths are on their bodies. No one can stop them from saying anything, Yin Yan said calmly. Luer hesitated for quite a while before saying in a low voice, Young Miss H, he looks rather pitiful. Why don't you bring him over? Even 4 or 5-year-old children are bullying him now. Yin Yan turned her face and said, I've already said that I won't care about him anymore. I begged him so humbly, but he didn't listen. He asked for it. Of course Yin Yan said it out of anger. She didn't know why, but Yang Dingtian's stubbornness and disobedience made her extremely angry. However, it was also because of this stubbornness that his figure was unknowingly imprinted in her heart. As a result, she finally couldn't bear it and went back on her words to find Yang Dingtian. She wasn't Dongfang Bingling. Her heart wasn't that hard. She was only fierce with her words, but her heart was very soft. When she saw Yang Dingtian, who looked like a savage beggar, her maiden heart suddenly felt a sharp pain. Just like this, the ragged and disheveled Yang Dingtian was led back to her house by Yin Yan. After returning to Yin Yan's boudoir, she personally filled her bathtub with hot water. Then she let Yang Dingtian enter the broth. She personally bathed Yang Dingtian. When Yang Dingtian said that he would bathe himself, she immediately pushed him into the water, not allowing him to speak. She used her slender hands to wash Yang Dingtian clean. Then she personally shaved his face. Then she used a white fox fur toothbrush, dipped in the most expensive rose essence and fine salt, to clean each of Yang Dingtian's teeth. Then she used her own lotus essence to wash Yang Dingtian's hair. Then she used an ivory comb to comb Yang Dingtian's hair neatly. Finally, she personally made a new robe for Yang Dingtian. A slender and handsome Yang Dingtian appeared in front of her again, but compared to before he was a lot thinner. Next, there was a table full of sumptuous dishes. Yin Yan accompanied Yang Dingtian to eat. She carefully and gently picked up food for him. Yang Dingtian was still like a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds. He ate the table full of delicacies clean. After brushing his teeth and rinsing his mouth, the two people quietly sat facing each other silent. Yin Yan suddenly stretched out her hand to touch Yang Dingtian's cheek. She softly said, "It's my fault. I shouldn't have been angry at that time. I shouldn't have said such ruthless and heartless words. I shouldn't have left you at the back of the mountain and ignored you. I shouldn't have let them laugh at you." Hearing Yin Yan's words, Yang Dingtian was suddenly stunned. Then he slightly smiled bitterly. Yin Yan also felt that she was crazy. Yin Yan came to Yang Dingtian's side and sat next to him. She softly said, "You're not crazy. You're just under too much pressure. It's all my fault. Are you willing to forgive me?" Yang Dingtian's gaze became gentle. He said, "You didn't do anything wrong. You've always been the best wife. Instead, it was my persistence and stubbornness that hurt you time and time again. So in front of me, you never need to say forgive. Not to mention that you didn't do anything wrong. Even if you do something wrong in the future, I will never blame you." Then Yang Dingtian seriously said, "And Yin Yan, during this period of time I didn't go crazy. Instead, I entered a state of selflessness. And there's good news, Yan. I've already broken through to the 7th layer of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. I'll soon enter the next step." Before Yang Dingtian finished speaking, Yin Yan's beautiful eyes suddenly trembled. She revealed a worried expression. Her small hand directly covered Yang Dingtian's mouth. "All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow," Yin Yan said. Then she led Yang Dingtian to the bed and said, "Have a good sleep first. You haven't slept for a long time. Have a good sleep first. We'll talk about it after you wake up." Yang Dingtian smiled bitterly. "Yin Yan, what I said is true." Before he could finish, Yin Yan covered his mouth again and said, "Today we won't talk about business. Today we'll only talk about love." Then Yin Yan's beautiful eyes became gentle, rippling like water. "Yang Dingtian, I've been married to you for so long, but I've never fulfilled my duties as a wife. Today I'll start learning to be a good wife, okay?" Yang Dingtian's body suddenly trembled, and he opened his mouth to speak. "You want to say a bunch of words like, 'First obtain my heart'?" Yin Yan rebuked. "Then don't say it out loud." Then Yin Yan took off his outer clothes and let him lie on her gums. Then Yin Yan's face turned slightly red. She gritted her jade teeth and lay down beside Yang Dingtian. "You?" Yang Dingtian's heart beat wildly, and his nose was filled with a mesmerizing fragrance. "We're husband and wife. Of course we have to sleep on the same bed." Yin Yan pretended to be natural, but her trembling voice betrayed her heart. "Yin Yan, you don't have to do this." Yang Dingtian's breathing was a little rough. Yin Yan turned her body and stared at Yang Dingtian with her beautiful eyes. "We've been husband and wife for a few months, but we've always kept a distance. Don't you want to be close to me?" "Why wouldn't I? Yang Dingtian, you have the most beautiful face in the world, and the most moving body. You're much cuter than Dongfang Bingling. But the huge responsibility is suffocating you, isn't it?" Yin Yan said. "You like me, but you married me completely because of my father's last words. Because you think I don't love you because of pride and pity. Before I fall in love with you, you won't touch me. And I married you completely because of my father's last words. I was unwilling, but I didn't disobey my father's orders. So I pretended to be selfless and devoted to you. But in my heart, I completely rejected you. Yin said, so we've been husband and wife for a few months, but we've never been close to each other. We're like familiar strangers, as if there's a thick wall of ice between us. But we've all forgotten that feelings can be cultivated. When a man and a woman are together day and night, there will always be feelings. Yin said, although I pretended to be generous in the past and said that I could fulfill my obligations at any time, I still found all kinds of reasons to prevent this kind of intimacy from happening. From now on, we won't find any excuses. We're husband and wife and we should be together. Yin leaned over and said softly, husband, we're husband and wife. I'm a woman who loves herself and I'll never remarry. So, the fact that we're husband and wife is already destined. So let's throw away the heavy responsibility that's weighing us down. Throw away our pitiful self-esteem, and learn to love each other in the purest way. Okay? We're surrounded by enemies, so the two of us, husband and wife, have to love each other and rely on each other. Only by giving each other warmth, we won't feel cold and have someone to rely on. Let's make up, okay? Yang Dingtian gasped for breath and shook his shoulders, as if he really wanted to remove the weight on his body. Then he said with a trembling voice, okay, that's right. Yin also said with a trembling voice, now you can kiss me. Chapter 44. After Yang Dingtian left, Yin looked at the sky outside the window and said, Father, I've already tried my best. Then, her gaze fell on the black dispersing pill in her hand. She had exchanged it for the world-famous sword, Phoenix Flames. She gritted her teeth and clenched her small hand. Suddenly, the incomparably precious Xian-dispersing pill was directly crushed into pieces. Countless rays of light shot out from the broken pieces of the pill, and then the entire pill turned into ashes little by little. Finally, Yin's little hand was completely empty. There were less than 6 days until the Yin-Yang festival. Yang Dingtian had to personally hunt for the 5 types of demon cores and find a place where Yin and Yang intersected to set up the array. The 5 types of demon cores were fire, wind, metal, ice, and lightning. There were many fire and metal type demon beasts near Cloud Sky City. The wind type was relatively rare. However, the ice type was troublesome because the entire northwest continent floated above magma. It was definitely a fire type continent, so there was absolutely no space for ice type demon beasts to live. As for the lightning type, it was completely rare because almost all of the lightning type demon beasts were half-energy creatures. Therefore, hunting for lightning type demon cores was the most difficult task. Easy at first, then hard. First, hunt for fire and metal type demon beasts. These 2 types of demon beasts could be found everywhere in the training wilderness, 100 miles away from Cloud Sky City. It was completely within Cloud Sky City's territory, so it was very safe. However, here came the problem. The demon beast training wilderness 100 miles away had to be ridden on flying beasts because there were deep magma ravines all the way there. War horses couldn't pass through them. Moreover, a large amount of medicine and pills had to be prepared. Yang Dingtian didn't have any of these, and he couldn't look for Yin anymore. That's right. Although the two of them didn't say anything unpleasant, and Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with tenderness and pity for Yin, he couldn't look for Yin before he successfully broke through because Yin was completely disappointed in him. According to normal channels, he should look for Tang Xian because she was a beginner warrior instructor. She was the one who led the low-level training in the wilderness. Otherwise, he could go and find Shimanju because he was in charge of all internal affairs in Cloud Heaven City. However, if Yang Dingtian went to look for these 2 people, he would only be humiliating himself. In Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian could be said to have no one to rely on. He was alone and weak, so he couldn't even go to the beginner's wilderness trials. Then there was only one person left that Yang Dingtian could find, Shima Ningning. That's right, she was the gentle and virtuous sister that Yin had mentioned. Yin wanted to marry her to Yang Dingtian's Shima Ningning, Shiman Wuya's only adopted daughter. Shima Ningning's position in Cloud Sky City was very special. It was almost irreplaceable because she was a beast speaker and a genius at that. Beast speakers were able to understand the language of demonic beasts. They were able to control and summon demonic beasts and communicate with demonic beasts. Beast whispers were extremely rare in the entire Primal Chaos continent. less than 1 in 100,000. Therefore, beast whisperers had an extremely high status in the primal chaos continent. They were treated like treasures by every sect. As for Shima Ningning, she was a genius among beast speakers. Therefore, she had a high status in Cloud Sky City. No matter which side was in power, they would try to win her over. If it wasn't for her weak temperament and poor communication skills, she would have been one of the 9 elders of Cloud Sky City. Even so, she was still an honorary elder of Cloud Sky City. However, she never cared about anything in Cloud Sky City. She basically stayed in her valley and didn't take a step out. She was only in charge of Cloud Sky City's combat demonic beasts and mounts. Originally, Yang Dingtian was the most suitable person to look for her. Not only could she lend Yang Dingtian a mount to go to the beginner's wilderness trials, but she was also very familiar with the demonic beasts within 1,000 miles. If he wanted to hunt for demonic cores, she was the most suitable person to look for. However, Yinyan Shiman had once said that she wanted Shima Ningning to become Yang Dingtian's second wife. Therefore, Yang Dingtian was a little embarrassed to look for her. Moreover, he heard that this girl was very antisocial and almost never communicated with others. Yang Dingtian also felt that he would be met with a big setback if he went. However, Yang Dingtian had no other choice. If he didn't look for Shima Ningning to borrow a mount, he couldn't even go to the beginner's wilderness trials. I'm a man. I'm very thick-skinned. What's there to be embarrassed about? Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth and decided to look for Shima Ningning. Shima Ningning lived in the quietest and most remote place in Cloud Sky City. It was a small valley. A few hundred meters away from the valley, he felt a tranquil aura and couldn't see anyone. Only a few people could enter this valley. Just as he stepped into the valley, Yang Dingtian suddenly felt a dangerous aura. Swoosh swoosh. Immediately after, 2 white shadows rushed in front of Yang Dingtian like lightning. They were 2 lions about a meter long. One was snow white while the other was fiery red. They both had a pair of sharp wings and looked very beautiful and mighty. There were 6 horizontal lines on their foreheads, which meant that they were 6th-grade monsters. 6th-grade monsters were super strong among monsters. Who knew how many years they had cultivated and how many lives they had taken? At least, most people in Cloud Sky City weren't a match for these 2 lions. However, such powerful monsters were kept as gatekeepers by Shima Ningning. It showed how powerful Shima Ningning was. Yang Dingtian could clearly feel that these 2 lions possessed great strength. At least, if they were to face him now, they would be able to kill him in an instant. After they rushed in front of Yang Dingtian, they didn't pounce forward to bite him. Instead, they stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. They raised their heads and looked at him with disdain. That's right. Although they were monsters, they were proud of their strength and looked down on weaklings like Yang Dingtian. They used their eyes to tell Yang Dingtian to retreat and leave immediately. Otherwise, they wouldn't be polite. I want to see your master. Yang Dingtian didn't retreat. He didn't care if the 2 monsters could understand him and said, "Roar." One of the white lions roared and spat out a blue light from its mouth. It hit a huge rock beside Yang Dingtian. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt a bone-piercing cold. The ground dozens of meters around him was covered in frost. The huge rock that weighed more than 10,000 kilograms was instantly frozen and wrapped in a layer of blue ice. Roar! The fiery red lion roared and spat out a ball of flame from its mouth. It hit the frozen rock. Boom! With a loud noise, the huge rock was instantly smashed into pieces. The grass and trees on the ground dozens of meters around were all turned into charcoal. Yang Dingtian suddenly gasped. The 6 stage monsters were actually so powerful. That huge rock that weighed more than 10,000 kilograms was easily destroyed by them. If Yang Dingtian was the one being sprayed, then, I'm not in a good mood and don't want to see anyone. Please leave. A cold and gentle voice came from the valley. It was like flowing water, but the rejection was very firm. I'm Yang Dingtian. I'm here to see Miss Yang Dingtian, Yang Dingtian said. Yang Dingtian vaguely heard a low cry. He could even feel the panic of the owner of the voice. After a while, a voice came from inside, then come in. The 2 lions glanced at Yang Dingtian and actually shot him a warning look. Then they quickly disappeared into the trees and made way. Yang Dingtian stepped into the valley. This was another peach blossom spring in Cloud Sky City. There were small beasts everywhere. There were powerful beasts as well as ordinary animals. Young Dingtian couldn't take it all in. In the grass on the left, a beautiful white fox was tilting its head and acting cute to him. On the tree on the right, a squirrel was fighting with a fiery red mink for a big nut. They were fighting so hard that they were grimacing. Taking a closer look, the fiery red mink was actually a 5th-stage monster, and the squirrel was just an ordinary squirrel. The fiery red mink could tear the squirrel to pieces with just a breath, but it was still fighting with its claws. Here young Dingtian felt a very comfortable aura. Here the weak animals could actually live in harmony with the powerful monsters. One had to know that monsters were very cruel and easy to kill. While he was praising, young Dingtian suddenly heard a miserable cry. Then, a monkey rushed out from the road. Its entire body was wrapped around by a blood-red snake. The snake's head also had 5 veins and was about 4 to 5 meters long. It opened its bloody mouth and was about to bite and eat the pitiful monkey. The snake was a 5th-stage monster and the monkey was just an ordinary monkey. Yang Dingtian was shocked and instinctively wanted to pull out his sword to save the monkey. Unexpectedly, just as the snake was about to bite, the monkey stretched out its 2 hands and grabbed the upper and lower jaws of the snake. Then it suddenly flipped over and rode on the snake. Then the monkey and the snake made faces at Yang Dingtian at the same time. Then they slithered into the grass and rolled into a ball. So they were just playing around. Yang Dingtian was speechless. "Why did you come to see me?" Suddenly a gentle and cold voice came from the front. There was a natural sense of isolation in the voice. It was as if talking to an outsider was very unnatural. Yang Dingtian raised his head and saw a beautiful woman standing under a tree not far away. Her figure was not inferior to Dongfang Bingling. It was as soft as flowing water and as graceful as a willow. Yang Dingtian was sure that everyone would look at her figure at first glance. They might even forget to look at her face. He raised his head and saw her face. Her eyes were like water, her eyebrows were like distant mountains, her hair was like black satin, and her skin was as white as snow. However, this face was not beautiful. It was just delicate. It was not charming, not delicate, not enchanting, but very gentle. It was like the wind of nature, like the water of nature. There was a completely different kind of beauty, a different kind of lovely and moving. Yang Dingtian only took a few glances at her, and the expression on her face was very unnatural. Her face was completely red. In fact, Yang Dingtian was also a little unnatural. This was because Yanyan had mentioned many times that she wanted Shimin Ningning to marry him, and use the yin-yang mystic absorption technique to give her Xian Qi to him. "I came to ask Miss for help. I want to go to the wilderness to hunt for demon cores." Chapter 45. After Shimin Ningning finished speaking, she walked towards the house in front to avoid facing Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian followed behind her, but he couldn't help but see her back. Her walking was really like a willow swaying in the spring breeze, which was really beautiful and unparalleled. Although Yang Dingtian had already avoided his eyes, Shimin Ningning in front of him became more and more unnatural. Even if her back was to Yang Dingtian, her face was getting redder and redder. Her small face was drooping more and more, and she only dared to look at her toes. She was really introverted. A short distance of tens of meters must be very long in Shimin Ningning's eyes. Her residence was a small attic, without any painting or decoration. It was very simple and elegant, but not lacking in delicacy. After walking into the attic, it was simple but very comfortable. There was almost no metal in it, only wood products, ceramics, cotton and linen products. Yang Dingtian noticed that the clothes she was wearing were not silk brocade, but a very soft cotton cloth. There was no dye, just a natural white and blue color. But when she wore it, it made her figure more charming. She asked Yang Dingtian to sit down and made tea for her. Shimin Ningning sat aside. Yang Dingtian didn't speak and neither did she. The two just sat there quietly. It seemed that talking to a stranger was a great challenge for Shimin Ningning. Yang Dingtian was not in a hurry to speak, but carefully observed the room. Shimin Yinyan once said that the underwear she wore was embroidered by Shimin Ningning. Shimin Ningning was very clever and skillful. Sure enough, most of the things in this room should be made by her. The wooden cup in her hand was not gorgeous and had no carvings, but the curve was very beautiful. It was very comfortable to hold in the hand just like her figure. Every inch of the curve was perfect, which was the best interpretation of aesthetics. Not only the teacup, but also other things in the room had a natural beauty. Next to her was an unfinished piece of clothing. It was a brocade robe that seemed to belong to a man. Seeing Yang Dingtian looking at the robe, Shima Ningning blushed and quickly hid the robe. Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned. If a woman like Shima Ningning sewed a robe for a man, she must have a very, very close relationship with him. Could it be that this water-like woman already had a lover? This is your dress. Yin Yan asked me to make it. Shima Ningning explained in a low voice. Yang Dingtian was stunned, then said, in the future, she probably won't ask you to make clothes for me anymore. Why? Shima Ningning asked in surprise. I didn't listen to her, so she ignored me, Yang Dingtian said. Shima Ningning frowned and said worriedly, there is nothing that can't be said between husband and wife. How can you say things like cutting off all ties? Is it because you refused to take the Black Dissociation pill and couldn't learn the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword? Yang Dingtian was surprised and said, you know this too. Yinyan told me everything, Shima Ningning said, and then her face blushed slightly again. Her delicate face seemed to be unable to hide any secrets. Yang Dingtian was almost sure that Shima Yinyan had asked him to take Shima Ningning as his second wife. What did she say about me in front of you? Is that okay? Yang Dingtian asked this question as if he was possessed. Shima Ningning didn't answer. She looked embarrassed. She didn't want to lie, but she also didn't want to tell the truth. Yang Dingtian knew the answer and felt a little uncomfortable. Yinyan and Shima Ningning had nothing to hide, and what they said was the truth. She has indeed been wronged. It's all fate. Yang Dingtian smiled bitterly. Shima Ningning suddenly fell silent and didn't know what to say. Actually, after hesitating for a while, Shima Ningning said, actually between you and Yinyan, I am more partial to you. People should stick to their own choices. Once you make a choice, you should go on. Either you succeed or... Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned, then nodded and said, thank you for your approval. I can give in to her in other things, but in this matter, I can only stick to myself. Shima Ningning lowered her head and said, I know. If it were me, I would make the same choice. Immediately, Yang Dingtian felt as though he was a confidant. The two of them fell silent again, not saying a word. If Yang Dingtian didn't speak, Shima Ningning definitely wouldn't take the initiative to speak. Yang Dingtian took the initiative to say, I'm going to the wilderness 100 miles away to hunt for demon nuclei. Please ask a flying beast to take me there. Because of the magma abyss in the middle, I can't cross it even if I ride a horse. It would be better if there are some healing medicines. You're going to the wilderness? Alone? Shima Ningning said. Yang Dingtian nodded. Of course I can give you the things, Shima Ningning said. But the wilderness is very dangerous. If you go alone, your life will definitely be in danger. I have demon nuclei. It's only effective if you hunt them yourself, Yang Dingtian said. Shima Ningning opened her mouth to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. She nodded and said, then wait for me for a while. Then she walked into the inner room. A few minutes later, she came out with a box in her hand. Opening the box, a fragrance immediately assailed his nose. This red pill is a restoration pill. If you're injured, you should be fine after taking it. This purple pill is a vitality pill. It's used to restore energy, Shima Ningning said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. Isn't this too wasteful? I only need a level 1 pill. Using a level 5 Wonder Spirit pill on me right now is really... That's right, it was a 5th grade restoration pill. It was extremely precious and could even be used in exchange for one's life. On the market, it could be sold for at least tens of thousands of gold coins. Now, Yang Dingtian was just going to kill low-level demon beasts. Did he need a 5th grade pill? And she gave him 3 pills at once. As for the vitality pill, it was even more exaggerated. It was a 5th grade pill. When a martial Xian or martial venerable released a Xian skill and consumed all their Xian qi, they could fill their sea of qi in a short period of time and continue fighting. Therefore, the value of a single vitality pill far exceeded that of a 5th grade restoration pill. It could be said that the vitality pill was a high-level strategic resource in Cloud Sky City. Now Yang Dingtian almost had no Xian qi, but Shima Ningning actually asked him to use it to restore his strength. It's better, Shima Ningning said. Besides, these are all made by me. You're a pharmacist? Yang Dingtian said. I remember that there's another pharmacist in Cloud Sky City? I made them myself for fun, Shima Ningning said. Yang Dingtian was astonished once again. To be able to refine a 5th grade upper-class elixir just for fun, this talent was truly insane. That won't do. It's too wasteful and too precious, Yang Dingtian said. You'd better give me a 1st grade pill. Shima Ningning's little face was suddenly filled with eagerness. She said softly, but I don't want to exchange it, so please hold on to it, okay? Yang Dingtian was shocked again. It was his first time seeing someone give away a precious treasure in a pleading tone. Okay, Yang Dingtian said. Then the two fell into silence again. Shima Ningning gathered her courage and said, You really can't go. Demon beasts are very powerful. Even the lowest level demon beast requires 2 or 3 novice martial artists to work together to kill it. You're just an enlightener. Really can't kill it. Your life will be in danger. That's right. Even the lowest level 1st grade demon beast required 3 5-star novice martial artists to work together to kill it. Therefore, every time Cloud Sky City's disciples went to the wilderness to train, they would be led by a teacher with strong martial arts skills. There would be at least a few dozen people going together. Even so, there would still be casualties. Yang Dingtian said, I know it's very dangerous, but I have to hunt all 5 types of demon cores within 6 days. I have no choice. Shima Ningning was stunned and said, That's impossible. Fire-type and wind-type demon beasts are fine. Metal-type demon beasts live in groups and live in underground caves. Even black martial artists don't dare to hunt them alone. And ice-type demon beasts are at least 10,000 miles away from here. Of course, these aren't the most difficult ones. The most difficult ones are the electric-type demon cores. It's almost impossible to get them. Even masters can't hunt them. Yang Dingtian was puzzled. Is it that difficult to get an electric-type demon core? It's much harder than I thought. Shima Ningning said. I'm a beast speaker and have seen countless demon beasts. However, I've never seen an electric-type demon beast in my entire life. Electric-type demon beasts are very rare in the entire world. Yang Dingtian was stunned. He asked then, where do electric-type demon beasts appear? The abyss at the bottom of the sea tens of thousands of miles away, or the dark crevice at the edge of the continent. However, even masters can't get close to these 2 places. Shima Ningning said, therefore, any electric-type demon beast is a rare treasure. Countless people will fight over it. That's right. Even the weakest electric-type demon beast would be nurtured for decades or centuries after it was caught. When it was strong enough, it would be refined into a martial soul. Then, this martial artist would have an electric-type mystic skill. Among all mystic skills, electric-type mystic skills were almost like a bug because they could ignore almost all defenses. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath. It seemed that hunting for the 5 types of demon cores was much more difficult than he had imagined. Moreover, he had less than 6 days. Then I have no choice. Yang Dingtian said, I can fail, but I can't give up halfway and retreat when I see the difficulty. Easy first, then hard. I'll hunt the fire-type and wind-type demon cores first. Shima Ningning said, but with your strength it's really difficult to kill them. You can't even pierce through their outer skin protection. And they are born with mystic skills. Just a light breath can cause great damage. Then I can pierce their eyes and mouths. Yang Dingtian said, I have confidence in my swordsmanship, and I only hunt lone demon beasts. Shima Ningning bit her lips and said, Do you really want to go? Or I'll go with you? Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, No, I can only hunt alone. Otherwise, after the demon beast dies, there will be other people's information in the demon core, and this demon core will be completely useless. But if you lose your life, Yin Yin will blame me. Moreover, you have all my foster father's hopes. Shima Ningning said, I'll be very careful. Yang Dingtian said firmly, and if I can't even kill the lowest level demon beast, then I can really leave Cloud Sky City directly. Shima Ningning struggled for a while, then bit her lips and said, Okay, then wait for me for a while. Then she turned and walked into the house. After a few minutes, Shima Ningning walked out again, and there was a piece of clothing that was as thin as a feather in her hand. Moreover, the skirt she was wearing was a little wrinkled, and her clothes were a little untidy. It could be seen that this thin piece of clothing was just taken off from her body, and she had been wearing it close to her skin. This is the deep sea Xian clothes, the last layer of skin that Naga people shed after turning into human form. It's very soft and strong. Ordinary demon beasts can't hurt your upper body when you wear it. Shima Ningning said. Put it on, and then go hunt demon beasts. Yang Dingtian was completely shocked. Deep sea Xian clothes? The skin shed by the Naga people. This was a treasure of heaven and earth. The Naga people, the most mysterious and powerful race in this world. Everyone in this world knew the legend of the Naga people, but for thousands of years, no one had really seen the Naga people. But Shima Ningning actually had the Naga people's deep sea Xian clothes? Who exactly was she? The most important thing was, why did she lend such a treasure to Yang Dingtian? It was only the first time they had met. Chapter 46. Don't ask me where the Naga's deep sea Xian clothes came from, and don't ask me why I gave it to you, okay? Shima Ningning said. Also, don't let others know that you're wearing the deep sea Xian clothes. Ningning continued. Yang Dingtian nodded, but he still couldn't suppress the shock in his heart. The Naga was the ultimate secret of this world. For thousands of years, countless people had yearned for it, but no one had really explored it. Yang Dingtian had read the relevant records. The Divine Dragon was the supreme guardian of the entire chaotic continent, known as the Divine Dragon Titan. In all the records, even those from ancient times, there were no dragons in this world, only their close relatives. But as long as it was a close relative of the dragon, it was extremely powerful. The Naga was the closest relative of the dragon. It was the offspring of a dragon and a sea snake. Before it turned into a human form, it looked like a snake and a dragon. It was majestic and terrifying, domineering and cold-blooded. In short, the Naga could be called the most powerful race in the world. More than 10,000 years ago, Shiwu Piaoyan wanted to save the world, and the first thing he looked for was the powerful Naga. However, he didn't know whether he met the Naga in the end. This secret could only be known at the second stage of the pig-killing swordsmanship. This is the skin of a female Naga, so it's very small. Take off your shirt, and I'll help you put it on inch by inch. It's just a shirt, no pants, Yang Dingtian said. There are also legs, but they're on me, Shima Ningning whispered. Her face was so red that it almost dripped blood. Yang Dingtian quickly stopped talking. He was afraid that the girl in front of him would really find a hole in the ground and hide in it. Then with the help of Shima Ningning, Yang Dingtian put on the deep sea Xian clothes inch by inch. Shima Ningning had never been so close to a man. Her whole face was like a red cloth. Her rapid breathing hit Yang Dingtian's face. The sound of her heart beating could almost be heard by Yang Dingtian. Of course, Yang Dingtian was not much better. After putting on the deep sea Xian clothes, Yang Dingtian could hardly feel its existence, as if it had become another layer of Yang Dingtian's skin. Then he put on Yang Dingtian's clothes. Then Shima Ningning took Yang Dingtian to the balcony outside and shouted gently into the air. Oh, come here. I'm looking for you. After a while, a gorgeous shadow flew out of the cave at the top of the mountain. It flew very quickly and gracefully. Soon it was in front of Yang Dingtian. It floated in the air and gently flapped its wings. What a beautiful mount! Yang Dingtian had never seen such a beautiful mount before. Its slender body was bent into an S shape, and on both sides of its body were gorgeous and soft wings. It was just that the wings on the body were the widest, and gradually narrowed towards the tail. The wings also drew a beautiful arc. Yang Dingtian had never seen such a beautiful flying beast before. It was obvious that this was a very rare mount. This is the floating ray. It flies very steadily and quickly, and is very docile. Shima Ningning looked at Yang Dingtian, and then reached out her small hand to stroke the floating ray's head. Compared to its wings, its head was very small, but its pair of eyes were very big. It had a tender mouth and looked very cute. You're taking me to the Red Wilderness. You have to be good, okay? Shima Ningning stroked the floating ray's head and said softly in its ear. The floating ray enjoyed the stroke. Its big eyes narrowed slightly, and it rubbed its head against Shima Ningning's small hand, making a spoiled and coquettish sound. After Shima Ningning let go of her hand, the beautiful ray slowly flew down and floated a foot away from the balcony. It tilted its head and called, asking Yang Dingtian to sit on its body. Yang Dingtian gently jumped on the back of the floating ray. He touched its neck first and whispered, "Thank you, ya." Then he waved at Shiman Ningning and said, "Goodbye." Shiman Ningning gently leaned on the railing of the balcony. Her delicate body seemed to be a little soft. She waved at Yang Dingtian and said, "Goodbye. Be careful. You have to be careful." Then the floating ray carried Yang Dingtian and flew towards the Red Wilderness 100 miles away. The Red Wilderness was about 100 miles northwest of Cloud Sky City. The floating ray flew very fast. In less than half an hour, it was above the Red Wilderness. Sitting on the floating ray, Yang Dingtian looked down at the Red Wilderness below. It was really boundless. Countless red cracks tore the entire ground apart, leaving scars everywhere. Boiling blood-red magma flowed through the cracks all the time, never solidifying. Even the land here was blood-red. The entire Red Wilderness was about 400 miles long. In the center was a huge volcano. During the Great Nirvana period, the volcano erupted and tore apart the surrounding hundreds of miles. Lava poured into the cracks, forming the Red Wilderness today. In the lava there was extremely dense fire-type celestial chi. Therefore, there were countless demonic beasts in the Red Wilderness. Looking down from the sky, other than the countless smaller cracks, there were also 5 huge square-shaped cracks with the volcano as the center. One after another, the Red Wilderness was divided into 5 pieces. The closer to the volcano, the thicker the celestial chi, and the higher the level of the demonic beasts. The floating ray landed at the outermost edge of the Red Wilderness. Yang Dingtian jumped onto the Red Wilderness. The floating ray screeched and flew towards Cloud Sky City. It would come back to pick up Yang Dingtian in the evening. Stepping on the red soil, Yang Dingtian instantly felt extremely hot. The celestial chi here was indeed much denser than in Cloud Sky City. However, the celestial chi here couldn't be used to refine because there was a strong fire poison. After refining, the celestial chi would be burned alive. This was the outermost edge of the Red Wilderness. The demonic beasts here were relatively low level. From the map, the outermost edge was about 30,000 square kilometers. As far as the eye could see, there were mountains of different heights and rocks. Most of the place didn't have any plants. Only a few places had strange plants. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath of the scorching hot air and pulled out his sword. The danger had already begun. At this moment, he was the only one in the entire wilderness. However, there were countless demonic beasts hiding behind the mountains and in caves. Yang Dingtian knew that the most dangerous place in the Red Wilderness was the deep caves that were everywhere. The second most dangerous place was between the mountains and the mountains. The safest place was the flat ground. Therefore, Yang Dingtian always stayed away from the mountains and caves. He carefully walked on the flat ground and went deeper into the Red Wilderness bit by bit. Although he had pills and the deep sea Xian clothes, he was only an initiate. This place was extremely dangerous. The deep sea Xian clothes couldn't protect his head and limbs. Any demonic beast of the lowest level could kill him. It wasn't until this moment that Yang Dingtian realized how crazy he was. He didn't have any Xian energy, but he actually came to the dangerous Red Wilderness alone. Yang Dingtian slowly walked forward. His nerves were tense, and every hair on his body was tightly standing. He tried not to touch the bushes at his feet as much as possible. The surroundings were silent. Not even the sound of insects could be heard. It was strangely quiet. It was so quiet that it was terrifying. It was as if fatal dangers were lurking everywhere. Yang Dingtian walked for more than 10 minutes. He had already gone 2 or 3 miles, but he still didn't see half a demonic beast. He couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Without demonic beasts he was safe, but he couldn't hunt for demonic cores. Huh? What's that? Yang Dingtian suddenly felt his eyes brighten. In the crack of the mountain in front of him, there seemed to be a flame burning. He walked forward and found that it was not a flame, but a red and black stone. It looked like a fire from a distance. Huh? Master, what's this? Yang Dingtian asked. Dongfang Minmi made a surprised sound and said, "It can't be. This is too lucky. You just came out for an adventure. And in this kind of low-level demonic beast wilderness, you actually encountered such a precious thing. Others may not be able to encounter it even if they travel thousands of miles." Hearing Dongfang Minmi's surprise, Yang Dingtian was even more curious, and asked, "What is this thing?" "It's bloody black gold, and it was just exposed from the crack of the boulder." Otherwise, it would have been taken away long ago. Dongfang Minmi said. Ah, bloody black gold. The bloody black gold used to forge soul swords? Yang Dingtian said in disbelief. That's right. Bloody black gold was not only the best material for forging divine weapons. Any weapon forged with bloody black gold was a divine weapon. However, the precious value of bloody black gold was that it could be used to forge soul swords. Moreover, it was the only material for forging soul swords. A Yang-type soul sword required at least 99 pieces of bloody black gold. A martial artist would need to travel all over the world and spend years, or even decades, to dig up enough bloody black gold. Therefore, any piece of bloody black gold was worth tens of thousands of gold. Yang Dingtian had just arrived at the training wilderness, and he had actually encountered a blood black gold that had cracked open a rock. This was not something that could be described as lucky. It was as if the heavens were telling Yang Dingtian to choose to cultivate a sword soul. Child, I will ask you again. Have you decided to cultivate a sword soul? This is the most difficult path in the world. In this world, there are only 3 people who have successfully cultivated a sword soul. Even Zhu Qingzhu, a peerless expert, did not have one. Dongfang Minmi asked. Yang Dingtian looked at the piece of bloody black gold and said, I have already decided. Moreover, you said that Dongfang Bingling cultivates a sword soul, and she has already forged a sword. Yang Dingtian said, If I do not cultivate a sword soul, I will never be able to defeat her. A sword soul was the king of all souls. Other martial souls were refined from demonic beasts, and no matter how strong they were, they would not exceed half of a demonic beast's strength. As for the sword soul, it was said that it could grow forever, and become so powerful that it could break through the heavens. Shimen Wuya's sword soul was only in the growth stage, but it was already so strong that it defeated the grandmaster of the Yinyang school, Grand Elder Ningbusi. If he had not been harmed by Zhu Qingzhu with his sword soul, he would have been invincible in the world 10 years later. That's good. When Master cultivated a sword soul, he took many detours. Now, he will not let you take any more detours. Dongfang Minmi said, the first step to cultivating the strongest sword soul is to personally forge a peerless sword. The first step to forging a peerless sword is to personally dig out this precious piece of bloody black gold. Yang Dingtian immediately took out a dagger and stepped forward to dig out this piece of bloody black gold. He inserted the dagger into a crack in the stone and forcefully tilted it. Swoosh! Suddenly, a fiery light flashed in front of Yang Dingtian's eyes, and a stinging heat almost blinded him. A fiery red giant wolf suddenly rushed out from behind the mountain. It opened its bloody mouth and bit at Yang Dingtian's neck like lightning. This was a fiery demon wolf, a fire-type demonic beast that was cruel and bloodthirsty. Chapter 47. Yang Dingtian was shocked, but he didn't run away. Instead, he instinctively raised his sword and stabbed at the wolf's throat. The first move of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, piercing the throat and letting out blood. Yang Dingtian's sword practice came into effect. He used his fastest speed to stab the wolf's throat before it could bite his throat. Bang! Then, using the momentum of the fiery demon wolf's charge, he quickly retreated more than 10 meters to pull away from the dangerous wolf in front of him. Then he looked to see if the wolf was stabbed to death. However, the result disappointed him. His sword accurately stabbed the wolf's throat, but not to mention piercing through. It didn't even pierce through its fur. The wolf's skin was like a layer of hard armor. His sword couldn't pierce through it. Wolves were suspicious by nature. Although it wasn't injured after being stabbed in the throat, it didn't immediately chase after him. Instead, it slowly arched its body and stared at Yang Dingtian with its scarlet eyes. Is it so sad to have no xianqi? The sword can't even pierce through the wolf's skin. Yang Dingtian looked at the tip of his sword. He had used all his strength to stab it, but there wasn't even a trace of blood on the tip of the sword. This is a young fiery demon wolf. It noticed you a long time ago and was hiding behind the boulder, ready to kill you in one shot. Dongfang Minmi said. Only a young one? Yang Dingtian was secretly shocked. The wolf in front of him was nearly 2 meters long and 1 meter tall, and it was still a young one. Child, your first battle is here. You have to rely on yourself. Dongfang Minmi said. This fiery demon wolf has been hungry for a long time. It won't let you go. If you lose, you die. The fiery demon wolf specializes in biting people's throats. It's a fatal blow. Yang Dingtian's hair stood on end. He arched his body slightly and stared at the wolf in front of him. That's right, this was his first real battle. If the wolf didn't die, then he would die. No one would help him, and he could be bitten to death at any moment. The giant wolf's body arched tighter and tighter, and its cruel gaze became more and more concentrated. It let out a series of roars and revealed its dagger-like teeth. Once bitten on the neck, there was no doubt that one would die. Yang Dingtian was extremely nervous. The real hunt was much harder than he had imagined. This wolf's strength was many times that of Yang Dingtian. Its speed was many times faster than Yang Dingtian's. The key was that Yang Dingtian's body was almost invulnerable. What Yang Dingtian possessed was the incomparably exquisite pig-slaying swordsmanship, but he did not possess profound qi. He also had the deep-sea Xian robe to protect his upper body, but the fiery demon wolf only targeted his throat. Time passed second by second. The man and the wolf stood more than 10 meters apart, facing each other. The giant wolf was looking for an opportunity to land a fatal blow, but Yang Dingtian's speed and strength were too slow, so he had to look for an opportunity when the opponent attacked. The only way to kill the giant wolf was to stab the sword through its mouth as fast as possible when it opened its mouth to bite down on his throat. There was only one chance. Once lost, there was no doubt that he would die. Moreover, the time left for Yang Dingtian was at most half a second. This wolf had obviously not eaten for a long time. Its prey was right in front of it. The blood in its eyes became thicker and thicker, and the roars in its mouth became more and more mournful. The giant wolf began to move, circling around Yang Dingtian. What a cunning monster! It had such a huge advantage, but it did not take the initiative to attack. It did not give Yang Dingtian any chance, but instead looked for an opportunity while moving. Yang Dingtian did not move. He could not move, because once he moved, the giant wolf would pounce on Yang Dingtian and bite off his neck in an instant. At that time, it would be too late for him to organize an attack. This wolf was really cunning and dangerous. Therefore, even if the giant wolf had circled behind him, Yang Dingtian still did not move. He held the sword in his right hand, and his body was like a bow, ready to attack at any time. The cunning and dangerous giant wolf circled around again and again. Suddenly, it jumped up like lightning, pouncing on Yang Dingtian's left side. It opened its bloody mouth and bit toward Yang Dingtian's throat. What a cunning beast! This position was almost Yang Dingtian's blind spot. Its speed was very fast. In an instant, it was in front of Yang Dingtian. It aimed at Yang Dingtian's neck and bit down. Dig out the heart and lungs. Yang Dingtian did not move the sword in his right hand. The dagger in his left hand quickly came out from his sleeve and fiercely stabbed into the giant wolf's bloody mouth. It was still the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Oh, a mournful howl was heard. Hot blood suddenly splashed out from the giant wolf's mouth. Yang Dingtian's left dagger fiercely pierced the giant wolf's throat. However, the giant wolf still did not die. It actually closed its mouth and directly bit off Yang Dingtian's dagger. Boom! Then from its mouth it suddenly spat out a flame, and in a flash the broken dagger in its throat was spat out. Fuck! It was only a young fiery demon wolf, but it was already so powerful. The injured fiery demon wolf was even more furious. After spitting out the broken dagger, its two sharp front claws suddenly clawed toward Yang Dingtian's neck. This beast only attacked people's necks. Its speed was very fast. Like a gust of wind, its sharp claws instantly appeared in front of Yang Dingtian's eyes. It was going to tear his neck to pieces. Yang Dingtian did not have time to retreat. His body quickly leaned back, and his neck escaped the giant wolf's fatal claws. Bang! A sharp pain came from his chest. His ribs were almost broken, and a mouthful of blood almost spurted out. The giant wolf's claws slashed across Yang Dingtian's chest. Thanks to the deep-sea Xian claws, the sharp claws did not cut Yang Dingtian's flesh. However, the huge force still made Yang Dingtian almost unable to breathe. After slashing across Yang Dingtian's chest, the giant wolf's front claws suddenly pounced forward. A huge force slammed Yang Dingtian down. The giant wolf pounced on Yang Dingtian and directly pressed him to the ground. With a ferocious howl, the giant wolf's scarlet eyes burst out a violent light. It opened its huge mouth and fiercely bit down on Yang Dingtian's head. Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword, Eternal Disaster. The sharp sword in Yang Dingtian's hand shot out quickly. In an instant, dozens of swords were shot out. Puff, 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 puff. In an instant, the giant wolf's mouth was smashed, and then suddenly pierced deep into its throat. The giant wolf was shocked. Before it could howl, it suddenly closed its big mouth and advanced to bite off the sword blade. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's head avoided the giant wolf's fierce bite. Then, before it bit off the sword blade, he quickly pulled out the sword blade. Bang! The giant wolf's mouth bit the air. Its sharp blade-like teeth fiercely collided with each other, bursting out a spark. With a swing of its head, it ferociously attacked Yang Dingtian's neck to bite. Beast! Either you die or I die. Kill you, now is the time. Yang Dingtian did not dodge. The sharp sword in his hand stabbed out like lightning. Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword, Eternal Disaster. Whoosh whoosh. Yang Dingtian quickly stabbed into the two scarlet eyes of the fiery demon wolf. Poochie! Blood burst out. With a sharp pain, the fiery demon wolf's eyes were instantly blinded. It immediately turned around to escape. How could Yang Dingtian let it run away? With all his strength, he fiercely pushed the sword in his hand. With one stab, the brain matter spurted out. The sharp blade directly pierced into the depths of the giant wolf's brain. With a sudden twist, the entire brain was instantly smashed. Oh! A deafening scream, blood spurted. Claws madly clawed and stones splashed. The fiery demon wolf, on the verge of death, made the craziest struggle and the craziest counterattack. Yang Dingtian stuck close to the wolf's belly, avoiding its crazy counterattack. Puff! Finally, the 1,000-pound fiery demon wolf fell heavily to the ground, completely dead. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's arm felt a sharp pain, and blood spurted out. Before this beast died, it grabbed Yang Dingtian, leaving a deep bloody wound on Yang Dingtian's arm. Then it fiercely smashed to the ground, completely dead. A ferocious demon beast that required 5 novice martial artists to kill together was killed by Yang Dingtian, an enlightener alone. After confirming that the giant wolf was dead, Yang Dingtian's limbs went soft, and he fell directly to the ground. The fiery demon wolf's body was on top of him, and he couldn't care less. He opened his mouth and gasped for breath as if he didn't have any strength left. At this time, Yang Dingtian felt a burning pain all over his body. Although he had the protection of the deep sea Xian clothes, of course, his body was still covered with scars and blood. I finally killed this beast. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and pushed away the fiery demon wolf's body that was on top of him. He climbed up from the ground and then used his sword to cut off the fiery demon wolf's head to take out the demon core. When the fiery demon wolf was still alive, its skin was almost invulnerable. After it died, Yang Dingtian's sword could cut open its skin and flesh, cut open its head, and take out the demon core inside. The demon core was the size of a walnut, covered with complicated patterns, and was a flame-like red. The first demon core is in my hands. Yang Dingtian was a little excited. He kissed the fire-type demon core and then put it into the bag. Fire-type demon core was in his hands. Only 4 left. Wind, metal, ice, and lightning. It was really easy. A young fiery demon wolf was enough to make Yang Dingtian in danger and full of scars. Little Tian, bury the fiery demon wolf's body. Otherwise, it will attract a lot of other demon beasts. At that time, it will be really dangerous. Suddenly, Dongfang Minmi said, "Yes, master." Yang Dingtian said. Then he used his sword to dig a hole. After half an hour, he dug a hole that was more than 1 meter deep and 3 to 4 meters long. Then he spent a lot of effort to bury the fiery demon wolf's body in the hole. After burying the fiery demon wolf's body, Yang Dingtian slightly adjusted his breathing and let himself recover his strength. Now it was time to harvest another treasure. The bloody black gold that was worth 10,000 gold. Yang Dingtian climbed up the boulder and used his dagger to dig out the red bloody black gold. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but Yang Dingtian felt that the bloody black gold at this time seemed to be more red than before. It was more dazzling, as if it was really a burning flame. This is the first step of my perfect sword spirit. Yang Dingtian then inserted the dagger under the bloody black gold, and used his strength to pry it out. Wow! He didn't know if it was an illusion, But Yang Dingtian felt that the bloody black gold actually cheered as if it was very happy when someone dug it out. Yes, this is the bloody black gold's cheering. It is condensed from the fiery energy of heaven and earth. It is full of spirit energy, so it can be used to forge soul swords. Dongfang Nimi said. It's just a piece of bloody black gold. It will take 100 years to grow. After the bloody black gold was dug out of the boulder, the red color gradually extinguished and turned into a crystal clear dark purple. Who? At this time the sky suddenly darkened and a gust of wind came. Someone was coming. Yang Dingtian was shocked. He immediately dug out the bloody black gold and held it tightly in his hand. He didn't expect that a fist-sized piece of bloody black gold would be so heavy. It was at least 10 to 20 pounds. But at this time, Yang Dingtian didn't have time to be surprised. Who? A griffin suddenly landed in front of Yang Dingtian. Then a handsome young man jumped down from the griffin's back. He greedily looked at the bloody black gold in Yang Dingtian's hand. He suddenly pulled out a sharp sword and sneered at Yang Dingtian. Toad, hand over the bloody black gold and I'll give you an intact corpse. Yang Dingtian recognized this young man. At that time, he was beside Tang Li and said that he wanted to cripple Yang Dingtian. You finally left Cloud Sky City. My name is Yang Qi. My father died at the hands of Shaman Wuxia. Today, I will kill you to avenge my father. I am a 5-star novice martial artist. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Die. Shaman Yinyan, that bitch, I will take good care of her for you. After saying that, Yang Qi's eyes burst out with murderous intent. He shook his sharp sword and fiercely stabbed at Yang Dingtian. Chapter 48. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Before Yang Qi's sword arrived, several rays of sword energy shot out. Yang Dingtian quickly dodged. Hiss hiss hiss. Although his dodging speed was very agile, it was still too late. His face and neck were hit by the sword energy in 4 places. Suddenly he felt a burning pain. The wounds cut deep into his flesh and blood flowed out. Yang Dingtian was already injured the moment he made his move. The opponent was a 5-star novice martial artist, 5 levels higher than Yang Dingtian. But his Xian energy was 10 times more than Yang Dingtian's. After the sword energy hit Yang Dingtian, Yang Qi rushed in front of Yang Dingtian. The sword in his hand quickly stabbed towards Yang Dingtian's crotch. This young man was really vicious. Because he was jealous that Yang Dingtian married Yan Yan, he wanted to castrate Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian quickly waved the sword in his hand to block. Dang! In an instant, Yang Dingtian's sword blocked the opponent's castrating sword. But at the moment of impact, his arm suddenly shook. A stream of Xian energy fiercely drilled into his wrist, desperately tearing Yang Dingtian's blood vessels. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian quickly retreated a few steps to avoid Yang Qi's sword edge. You can actually block my sword? Yang Qi said in surprise. Then he revealed a sinister sneer and said, Why don't you try again? Suddenly Yang Qi quickly stabbed his sword. Every sword stabbed towards Yang Dingtian's crotch. He was determined to turn Yang Dingtian into a eunuch. Dang 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 dang. Suddenly Yang Dingtian only felt a burst of cold air between his crotch. The sharp blade emitting cold air was constantly cutting towards his vital points. If he was stabbed, he would really become a eunuch. Yang Dingtian's hair suddenly stood up. He focused all of his attention on Yang Qi's vicious sword tip. The sword in his hand madly swung out. Dang 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 dang. In an instant Yang Qi stabbed dozens of times. As for Yang Dingtian, he had also blocked dozens of swords. Yang Dingtian blocked more than 100 sword strikes, and Yang Dingtian blocked more than 100. Suddenly, the small space between Yang Dingtian's crotch was mottled with sword shadows, and sparks flew everywhere. Yang Dingtian's every move was dangerous, but he still managed to block Yang Qi's sword. Although Yang Qi's sword strikes were much more powerful and fast, they were still able to block his attacks. However, Yang Dingtian possessed the most profound sword art in the world, which made up for this gap. Therefore, even though it was extremely dangerous, Yang Dingtian still managed to block all the attacks. At first, Yang Qi had a mocking expression on his face, but as each of his sword strikes was blocked, his expression grew more and more shocked. In the end, it was an expression of complete disbelief. What kind of sword technique is this? It can actually block my 7th grade flower drawing sword cleansing technique? Yang Qi took a step back and asked in shock, your speed is inferior to mine, and your strength is inferior to mine, but you can actually block my sword. What sword technique are you using? Of course it's the pig-slaying sword technique, Yang Dingtian said coldly. Impossible, the pig-slaying sword technique is trash, Yang Qi said coldly. That's because you're stupid treating a pearl as a piece of trash, Yang Dingtian sneered. You're really an idiot, Yang Qi said coldly. If you hadn't shown the power of the pig-slaying sword technique, you might have been able to keep your life. Now that you've shown the extraordinariness of the pig-slaying sword technique, you're completely courting death. Do you think I'll leave behind a powerful enemy for myself? Then Yang Qi sneered, if I cut off your limbs first, let's see if you can still block my sword. Let's see if I can castrate you. Whoosh! Then Yang Qi's sword stabbed out like a poisonous snake. It was still the flower-drawing sword cleansing technique. The blade of the sword was as gentle as a snake, and in an instant, it was half a foot in front of Yang Dingtian's arm. Not only did he want to pierce Yang Dingtian's arm, but he also wanted to break the xian veins on his arm. Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword. Ruthless Disaster. The sword in Yang Dingtian's hand turned, and suddenly, the sword shadow was faintly discernible. It quickly entangled Yang Qi's sword, and then pulled outwards. Suddenly Yang Qi's vicious and sharp sword was violently swatted away. Using 4 tails to deflect 1,000 pounds, Yang Qi's sword flew out. How is this possible? Yang Qi was really shocked. Just now, when he had been trying to stab Yang Dingtian's crotch, he had been blocked time and time again. It could be said that the space was too narrow, and Yang Dingtian could easily judge the momentum of his sword, so it was much easier for him to block it. But now his attack range was so huge. Not only was Yang Dingtian able to block his attack, but Yang Dingtian had also easily moved his attack away. This was too inconceivable. Suddenly Yang Qi's eyes flashed with incomparable greed. The pig-slaying swordsmanship was so mysterious. However, because of this, Yang Dingtian in front of him absolutely could not be left alive. He had to kill him. Suddenly Yang Qi put away the shock in his heart, and stared at Yang Dingtian's body, preparing for the next attack. Flower retrieving sword technique. 3rd sword, falling flowers willingly. Yang Qi's sword move was strange, as light as the wind, and stabbed towards Yang Dingtian's wrist. Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword Ruthless. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian still used the same move, and moved Yang Qi's sword away. But this time the ruthless sword was a little different from the previous one. Yang Qi's eyes were blazing, and with a wild shout, the sword in his hand fiercely stabbed again. Flower retrieving sword technique. 4th sword, flowing water ruthless. It directly stabbed towards Yang Dingtian's eyes. However, it was still carried away by Yang Dingtian's sword. Yang Dingtian was still using the 3rd move of the Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword, Ruthless Sword, but it was a little different. Pig-slaying swordsmanship, number 1 in the world. The sword was fixed and every move was alive. Yang Qi was really going crazy. He was 5 levels higher than Yang Dingtian, and his xian energy was nearly 10 times stronger. But he was completely helpless against Yang Dingtian. Flower retrieving sword technique. 5th sword, fierce autumn wind. 6th sword, torrential storm. 7th sword, raging waves. 8th sword, 1,000 layers of snow. 9th sword, 10,000 souls extermination. Finally, Yang Qi used the last move. At the same time, it was also the most powerful and dangerous move of the flower retrieving sword technique. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Countless sword qi fiercely shot out, and the sharp sword in Yang Qi's hand seemed to turn into countless poisonous snakes, crazily wrapping around Yang Dingtian's entire head and neck. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's upper body was completely covered by the sword light. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's face was cut by the sword qi, and his entire head was cold, as if it could be cut into pieces at any time. Yang Dingtian had entered the most dangerous moment, and his entire head could be cut into pieces in an instant. At this time, Yang Dingtian was blocking while staring at Yang Qi's sword, trying to find the flaw in the 9th killing move of the flower retrieving sword technique. In other words, the sword eye. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's neck was cut in 2, one of which was less than a centimeter away from the main artery. Found it, it's here. Yang Dingtian, who had practiced the most profound sword technique, quickly found the flaw in his opponent's sword eye. After learning the pig-slaying swordsmanship, there were no other sword techniques in the world. After learning the pig-slaying swordsmanship, one could find the flaw in other sword techniques at any time. Pig-slaying swordsmanship, first move, piercing the throat and letting blood. Having found the flaw, Yang Dingtian's steel sword shot out like a meteor. Clang! In an instant, all of Yang Dingtian's sword techniques were completely destroyed, and the blade was completely blocked by Yang Dingtian's sword. Clang 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 clang. In an instant the two swords collided. Clang. Obviously, the quality of Yang Dingtian's sword was worse, and it instantly shattered. Yang Qi's moves were blocked, and suddenly his sword technique was in chaos, his aura was in chaos, and his feet were slightly staggered. This was the moment to counterattack. This was the moment to kill the enemy. This was the moment Yang Dingtian risked his life for. Kill! Yang Dingtian suddenly rushed forward, breaking free of the two swords' entanglement, and madly stabbed at Yang Qi's chest with the broken sword in his hand. Shiwu 9 Disaster Sword, Living Beings. Suddenly, the broken sword in Yang Dingtian's hand turned into a cold light, and madly stabbed at Yang Qi's chest. Puff 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 puff. In an instant, Yang Qi's chest was pierced dozens of times, and blood spurted out. Yang Qi screamed, and used all of his strength to quickly retreat. Yang Dingtian's foot tapped the ground, and madly rushed out with all of his strength. Pig-slaying swordsmanship, heart and lungs gouge. As he madly rushed, the broken sword in his hand fiercely stabbed at Yang Qi's heart. Puff! In an instant, the sharp broken sword fiercely stabbed into Yang Qi's chest, and blood splattered everywhere. Yang Qi was instantly scared out of his wits, and helplessly watched as Yang Dingtian's broken sword was about to pierce his heart. Suddenly, a decisive and cruel aura surged. I can't die. Yang Qi's hand suddenly grabbed the sharp sword piercing his heart, and fiercely twisted it. Crack! Yang Qi's palm madly spurted blood, and his flesh was badly mangled. However, Yang Dingtian's sure-kill sword was forcefully broken. Then Yang Qi used all of his strength to quickly retreat dozens of meters. Yang Dingtian used all of his strength, but the distance between Yang Qi and him was getting farther and farther. In the blink of an eye, they were more than 30 meters apart. A roar of anger and unwillingness rang out. The opportunity to kill the opponent was lost just like that. If he pursued now, not only would he not be able to kill the opponent, but he would also be harmed. He had gone to great lengths to create this opportunity, but because of his lack of energy, he could only lightly injure the opponent, and was unable to kill him. If he had Xian energy, even if it was only half of Yang Qi's, it would be enough to kill the opponent several times over. At that moment, Yang Dingtian suddenly desired a breakthrough in Xian energy more than ever, and hated the weakness of his own Xian energy. After retreating dozens of meters, Yang Qi calmed down a bit. Ha ha ha! Yang Qi let out a burst of strange laughter, his face still filled with shock as he looked at Yang Dingtian. Your sword technique really opened my eyes. It's too strong, too miraculous. I really couldn't imagine that just by relying on the profoundness of a sword technique, you could actually make up for the difference of 5 levels of Xian energy. I underestimated you and was careless, and I actually almost died under your sword. Yang Qi wiped the blood from his hand, and continued to laugh coldly. However, you won't have the chance. I now know how to deal with you. Don't bother with sword techniques, just use Xian energy to crush and kill you. You're too amazing, so you have to die. If you don't die today, we will definitely die by your hands in the future. No matter the price, you have to die. With a face full of determination, Yang Qi took out a pill from his bosom. It was a 3rd-grade Xian explosion pill. A 3rd-grade Xian explosion pill was very precious. The reason he had this pill was because he was a member of the Yang clan. Taking this pill could instantly increase the Xian energy in the body by several times. However, it could only last for half a quarter of an hour, and then for the next few months he would have to pay off the debt, which would have huge consequences. However, in order to kill Yang Dingtian, Yang Qi was willing to bear the consequences, because he was a descendant of the Yang clan, and because Shiman Wuya killed his father, because he coveted Yin Shiman, because he was expelled from Cloud Sky City when he was very young, and only recently returned to Cloud Sky City. Otherwise, how could he only be a 5-star novice martial artist at the age of 17? Because he had already seen how extraordinary Yang Dingtian was, he must kill him before he sprouted. After taking the Xian explosion pill, Yang Qi's whole body began to turn red, and a powerful aura burst out from his body. His eyes were also bright red, as if they were on fire. Suddenly, Yang Qi's Xian energy increased by 3 times. Phew! A red smoke emerged from his mouth, and Yang Qi's handsome face became distorted and ferocious. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, and all the hairs on his body stood on end. He arched his body and held the sword with both hands, like a fierce beast, waiting to receive Yang Qi's fatal blow. This was a real fatal blow. Yang Qi crazily condensed all his Xian energy into the sword in his hand. The sword became redder, redder, redder. Boom! Finally, the whole sword burst into flames. Yang Dingtian, now you can really die. With a roar, Yang Qi waved the burning sword in his hand, and fiercely chopped down at Yang Dingtian. Boom! With a loud sound, the burning sword suddenly burst out a huge sword light, like lightning, and fiercely chopped down at Yang Dingtian. Chapter 49. Boom! The huge sword light, like a cannonball, fiercely bombarded Yang Dingtian's chest. Bang! Yang Dingtian's body flew dozens of meters away like a straw. Puff! In the air, Yang Dingtian opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Yang Qi suddenly leaped into the air, aimed at Yang Dingtian, and violently slashed at the void. Bang! The fiery red sword light once again hit Yang Dingtian's chest. Yang Dingtian, who was already in the air, spat out a mouthful of blood and was once again sent flying dozens of meters away. Then he fiercely fell to the ground, splashing up dust and broken body parts. After rolling for more than 10 meters, he was covered in blood and motionless. Ha ha! Yang Qi laughed loudly, landed, and slowly walked forward. Killing you is that simple, isn't it? When he walked to Yang Dingtian's side, the demonic red on Yang Qi's face gradually dissipated, and his face turned pale. At this time, the profound qi in his body was almost exhausted. Walking to Yang Dingtian's side, he gently kicked, but there was no reaction at all. Yang Dingtian's body was bleeding, and the floor was soaked with blood. Yang Qi slowly raised the sharp sword, pressed it on the back of Yang Dingtian's neck and sneered, "Don't worry, I will take good care of Yan Shimen for you. Her cultivation has been deteriorating, but I am rapidly improving. I believe that soon I will surpass her, and then I can fulfill my childhood dream. I dream of tasting this child-face stunner, the #1 beauty of the Northwest." Finished speaking, Yang Qi suddenly raised the sharp sword, aimed at Yang Dingtian's neck and slashed down. Not only did he want to kill Yang Dingtian, but he also wanted to cut off his head. Clang! Suddenly, a broken sword blocked Yang Qi's sword. Then, under Yang Dingtian's horrified gaze, the unconscious Yang Dingtian suddenly opened his eyes and smiled mockingly at Yang Qi. "Ag!" he screamed, then turned and fled at top speed. By this point he was running out of profound energy. But it was too late. Yang Dingtian's body suddenly bounced up from the ground, and the broken sword in his hand flew out. Whoosh! The broken sword shot out like a bolt of lightning, stabbing into Yang Qi's back and piercing through him. After stabbing him, Yang Dingtian leaped to his feet. Like a vicious tiger, he pounced on Yang Qi, grabbed him by the neck, and pulled out the broken sword from his back. "Ag!" he screamed. Puff 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 puff. After choking Yang Dingtian's neck so that he couldn't escape, Yang Dingtian aimed at Yang Qi's back and stabbed him a dozen times. Blood spurted out from every sword. Every sword was very ruthless. "Aga!" Yang Qi screamed. After stabbing 20 times, Yang Qi's body was a bloody mess, like a pile of mud. Yang Dingtian pushed Yang Qi down and forced him to kneel on the ground. Then he placed the broken sword on Yang Qi's neck. "I have the deep-sea profound clothes. How can your mere profound energy sword hurt me? Even if I don't have the deep-sea profound clothes, I have the 9 yang profound veins. I can even take a palm strike from Zhu Hongxue. How can I take a mere sword energy from you?" Yang Dingtian sneered. "If you had escaped just now, I wouldn't have been able to do anything to you. But you just had to court death. You wanted to overdraw your profound energy to kill me by taking a pill. You're really courting death." Yang Qi knelt on the ground, his whole body dripping with blood. His whole body was cold and trembling. Don't kill me, brother-in-law, don't kill me. Yang Qi cried weakly. Yin is my cousin, you are my cousin-in-law, don't kill me. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, I can't find a reason not to kill you. If it was just because you offended me, then it would be fine. But you keep saying that you want to harm Yin, and that you have improper thoughts about her. I won't allow a poisonous snake to stay by her side. Brother-in-law, I beg you, don't kill me. Actually, I didn't want to kill you, but someone told me to kill you. He promised me that as long as I kill you, he would give me Sister Yanyan for one night, and make me the commander of the Black Blood Cavalry. Yang Qi trembled. Yang Dingtian's face suddenly changed, and he angrily said, Who? Is it Tang Li? No, it's not Tang Li. Tang Li is just his lackey. Yang Qi said, It's Qin Xiaobai. He will soon come to Cloud Sky City to become the Lord of Cloud Sky City. Because you are Shimin Wuya's designated successor, he secretly ordered us to kill you before he came to Cloud Sky City. Qin Xiaobai? Who is he? What qualifications does he have to be the Lord of Cloud Sky City? Yang Dingtian asked. He is the third young master of the Northwest Qin clan, and also the grandson of Grand Elder Yang Yan. However, a few days ago he made a mistake and was expelled from the Northwest Qin city. He and his mother Yang Shishir were sent back to Cloud Sky City. Now he has changed his name to Yang Xiaobai. Yang Qi said. Good plan, good plan. Yang Dingtian suddenly laughed coldly. Sure enough, it was a good plan to take over a magpie's nest. The Northwest Qin clan was one of the world's overlords. Of the 3 sects, 9 clans and 27 factions, it was ranked at the top of the 9 clans. Compared to Cloud Sky City, it was a true overlord, with a territory of 3,000 miles. Before Shimin Wuya's peerless battle at sea, the master of the in-law family had always been recognized as the Western continent's #1 expert, ranked in the top 5 in the world. In terms of true strength, the Northwest Qin clan was several times stronger than Cloud Sky City. The Northwest Qin clan had no less than 3 or 4 grandmasters. As for Cloud Sky City, there was only Shimin Wuya. In the entire Northwest continent, the one that Shimin Wuya feared the most was the master of the Northwest Qin clan. He was an absolutely unfathomable hero. In these years, Shimin Wuya and the Northwest Qin clan had never stopped fighting. He desperately suppressed the Yang faction in Cloud Sky City, and supported Shimin Ju, Shimin Lai and Shimin Nu, the 3 outstanding foster sons, to control the Elder Council. The Northwest Qin clan secretly supported the Yang faction, and had many marriage alliances with the Yang clan. However, when Shimin Wuya was around, the Northwest Qin clan never dared to do anything to Cloud Sky City. Now that Shimin Wuya was gone, the Northwest Qin clan immediately revealed their ferocious fangs. As soon as Qin Xiaobai came to Cloud Sky City, he immediately assumed the attitude of a supreme ruler. With the support of the Northwest Qin clan behind him, and the Elder Council in Cloud Sky City represented by Yang Yan, the position of Cloud Sky City's lord seemed to be in his grasp. Brother-in-law, I've told you everything. Spare me, spare me. Yang Qi collapsed on the ground and wept weakly. Seeing Yang Dingtian's uncertain expression, Yang Qi coldly said, I'm a member of the Yang clan and I'm Qin Xiaobai's cousin. If you kill me, they will definitely tear you to pieces. If you spare my life, maybe I can plead for you in front of Qin Xiaobai and spare your life. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, You worry too much. Then Yang Dingtian asked again, How old are you? 17. Yang Qi trembled. So young. Yang Dingtian sighed. But I have no other choice. Sorry. Shua. Yang Dingtian fiercely chopped down with his sword. Yang Qi's horrified scream was only halfway through when blood spurted out. His handsome head was chopped off and rolled on the ground. I told you too much just now. Also, you kept saying that you wanted to harm Yan, so you can only die. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, looking at Yang Qi's body that had been split in two, and the shock on his face had not faded. Yang Dingtian sighed and helplessly shook his head. Killing was not his intention, but he had to kill. Proud son of heaven Qin Xiaobai, right? Then let's meet. I want to see how insufferably arrogant you are. Yang Yan, betraying the foundation of your ancestors, you deserve to die. Elder Council, flattering a strong enemy, betraying Cloud Sky City to an outsider enemy, you deserve to die. Yang Dingtian grabbed Yang Qi's head with one hand and Yang Qi's body with the other, and walked forward. He was not going to bury him, but to throw him into the deep ravine. This way, his body would quickly be melted into ashes by the magma, and Yang Qi would completely disappear from the face of the earth. At this time, there was not the slightest trace of human habitation in the wilderness. No one had seen Yang Dingtian kill anyone. As long as the corpse was completely destroyed, Yang Dingtian would not have any suspicions. This was because in everyone's eyes Yang Dingtian was a trash, a madman. How could he possibly kill a 5-star novice martial artist like Yang Qi? After walking for a few hundred meters, there was a bottomless ravine in front of him. Blood-red magma surged below. Even though it was a few thousand meters away, a terrifying hot energy was constantly spreading. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed Yang Qi's head away. Then he pushed Yang Qi's body down. After a few seconds, Yang Qi's body fell into the magma. Only a little bit of blood-red magma splashed out, and then a puff of smoke rose. A moment later, Yang Qi's body melted and disappeared without a trace. From then on, he completely disappeared from the face of the earth. Phew! Yang Dingtian's heart relaxed, and directly sat down on the ground. After killing the fiery demon wolf, he also killed Yang Qi. At this time, Yang Dingtian's body was covered in wounds, and his flesh was badly mutilated. He slowly closed his eyes, and prepared to adjust his breathing for a while before taking a healing pill. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian suddenly smelled a strong and enticing fragrance. It was like the fragrance of some kind of flower, but it was many times stronger. And the strange thing was, after smelling this fragrance, his body immediately became light as a feather, as if he was about to fly. Also, the pain all over his body rapidly weakened, and even disappeared. It was really strange. This kind of strange fragrance actually had this kind of effect. Master, what is this thing? It's so fragrant, so magical? Yang Dingtian asked in his heart. Dongfang Niema said, look at the cliff of the abyss. There should be some kind of flower nearby. Yang Dingtian looked down, and indeed, 100 meters below the cliff, he saw an incomparably beautiful flower blooming at a speed visible to the naked eye. As the flower bloomed, it was constantly changing color. There were no leaves, only a fiery red root. There were 6 petals, and it was different from the flowers Yang Dingtian had seen before, but it was really beautiful and dreamy. Yang Dingtian had never seen such a mysterious and beautiful flower. This is the enchanted orchid, used to refine the enchanted pill. It only blooms for less than an hour. Dongfang Minmi said. Is it precious? Yang Dingtian asked. Very precious. In terms of price, an enchanted orchid is more expensive than a bloody black gold. Dongfang Minmi said. But this thing is not very useful to you. Then I'll go pick it and give it to Shima Ningning to refine medicine, as a gift for her help. Yang Dingtian. Then, he climbed down the cliff and picked the enchanted orchid. Not good, let's go. Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. Without asking why, he quickly gave up on the enchanted orchid and desperately climbed up. It's too late. Dongfang Minmi sighed helplessly. I should have thought that where there is an enchanted orchid, there will definitely be a wind shadow demon snake. Yang Dingtian slightly turned around, and saw that behind him, a 4 to 5 meter long snake gradually appeared. It was ferocious and terrifying, flapping its wings and floating in the air, shooting a cold light at Yang Dingtian. Wind shadow demon snake, a wind-type demon beast, can become invisible, fly and attack from a distance. Compared to the fiery demon wolf, it was many times more dangerous and difficult to deal with. Of course, it had a wind-type demon core on its head. Chapter 50. Yang Dingtian really wanted the wind-type demon core, but it was definitely not at this moment. At this moment he was climbing on the cliff. He couldn't go up or down. Moreover, his whole body was riddled with scars, and he didn't even have time to eat pills. As for the wind shadow demonic snake, it was many times stronger than the fiery demonic wolf. In other words, even if Yang Dingtian wanted to kill it, he couldn't. Because it could fly, Yang Dingtian couldn't catch up. It could shoot wind blades, so it could kill Yang Dingtian, but Yang Dingtian couldn't hit it. At this moment, the wind snake behind Yang Dingtian suddenly bent its body, and the spikes on its neck suddenly opened. It made a terrifying hissing sound, and its eyes instantly became extremely fierce. It was about to launch an attack. Its small blood-red eyes stared at Yang Dingtian's neck, and then it opened its mouth and began to swallow the surrounding internal force. It was condensing internal force energy, and when it condensed to the extreme, it would shoot a wind blade at Yang Dingtian's neck. This powerful wind blade could cut a stone pillar more than a foot thick, so Yang Dingtian's neck was certainly not a problem. Hiss hiss hiss. The terrifying sound of the spikes became louder and louder, and the wind snake's bloody mouth became bigger and bigger. Countless internal force crazily poured into its body, and its stomach suddenly swelled. Soon the wind snake swallowed the internal force to the extreme, and the invincible wind blade was about to shoot out. At this moment Yang Dingtian, who was lying on the cliff, had nowhere to hide. No matter where he hid, his neck would be cut off. "Let go, pick the flowers, don't worry about the wind snake," Dongfang Minmi shouted in Yang Dingtian's mind. Yang Dingtian didn't hesitate, and directly let go of his hands holding the cliff, and suddenly his body quickly fell down. Whoosh! At this moment, the wind blade in the wind snake's mouth suddenly shot out. Pop! With a loud bang, the cliff above Yang Dingtian's head seemed to have been struck by lightning. A crack more than a foot deep appeared on the cliff, and debris flew in all directions. This wind blade was actually so powerful. If it had landed on Yang Dingtian's neck, his entire head would have turned into a pile of mush. After the fright, Yang Dingtian quickly descended. When he passed by the enchanted orchid, he quickly reached out and grabbed it. Hiss! When the wind snake saw that the enchanted orchid was taken away by Yang Dingtian, it immediately let out an angry scream, as if it wanted to pierce through people's eardrums. Then there was the sound of a slingshot being fired. The wind snake suddenly bent its body and shot towards Yang Dingtian's back. "Keep the enchanted orchid in your mouth. Don't swallow it," Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian immediately put the enchantment orchid into his mouth, but his body was still falling rapidly. Suddenly, his body suddenly tightened. A burst of coldness and a burst of pain. The wind snake suddenly wrapped around Yang Dingtian's body, and then desperately tightened. With a strength of 1,000 pounds, Yang Dingtian was instantly unable to breathe, and the bones in his body seemed to be broken inch by inch. If it weren't for the deep-sea Xian clothes, perhaps his skeleton would have been crushed by it. After wrapping around Yang Dingtian, the wind snake flapped its wings and flew up. Its 5-meter-long body became tighter and tighter, and its strength became stronger and stronger. Yang Dingtian knew why Dongfang Minmi told him to let go of the enchanted orchid. It was because the wind snake was determined to get the enchanted orchid, as long as it picked the flower and put it into its mouth. In order to save the flower, the wind snake couldn't let Yang Dingtian fall into the magma abyss and burn to death, because the enchanted orchid would also be burned. However, of course, it was unwilling to save Yang Dingtian, so it wanted to wrap him to death. Therefore, at this time, Yang Dingtian really couldn't breathe, and his vision was blacking out. Quickly hold your breath and pretend to be dead. After reaching the ground, look for an opportunity to sneak attack, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian quickly closed his eyes, held his breath and pretended to be dead. After flying to the ground, the wind snake's sharp head came over and sniffed Yang Dingtian's breath. It opened its bloody mouth and smelled extremely fishy, making Yang Dingtian almost vomit, but he still remained motionless and completely held his breath. After sniffing for half a minute, the wind snake determined that Yang Dingtian was dead, and the snake loosened its body and threw Yang Dingtian to the ground. Then it lowered its head and opened its mouth to bite Yang Dingtian's stomach to find the enchanted orchid. It thought that Yang Dingtian had already eaten the flower. The sixth move of the pig-killing swordsmanship, cut off the limbs. Whoosh! The sword light flashed and fiercely chopped off the wind snake's wings. The wind snake quickly wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. Its wings were the weakest part of its body, and Yang Dingtian's sword cut a deep hole in it, making it unable to fly and fell to the ground. Yang Dingtian's sword was like lightning, and continued to cut the wind snake's body. But damn it, he didn't have any internal force, so the wind snake's shell was completely impenetrable to Yang Dingtian. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Another 2 sword strikes, Yang Dingtian stabbed its eyes. Exactly the same tactic as when he killed the fiery demon wolf. Yang Dingtian's sword speed was very fast, and although the wind snake dodged like lightning, its eyes were still stabbed by Yang Dingtian. But the strange thing was that his eyes, which had been pierced, were unharmed. Outside the beast's eyeballs, There was a layer of transparent protective layer, which was incomparably sturdy. Yang Dingtian didn't have any internal force, so he couldn't pierce it. Damn it! Not being able to kill it with one strike, Yang Dingtian quickly retreated, not daring to continue fighting. Hiss! The injured wind snake was furious, and issued a terrifying and fierce roar. The snake arched its body on the ground, and its two blood-red eyes stared at Yang Dingtian. Its body was only about the thickness of an arm, but it was 4 or 5 meters long. Even if it arched its body, it was still much taller than Yang Dingtian. Hiss hiss! The wind snake opened its scarlet mouth, revealing its sharp fangs. It's going to spit out wind blades again. You should quickly bite the enchanted orchid on your teeth and let it see. It's afraid of destroying the flower, so it won't dare to attack your head. Dongfang Minmi said. At its level, it can only spit out 3 wind blades before its internal force is exhausted. At that time you can use the pig-killing swordsmanship to fight with it. Whoosh! Sure enough, just as Dongfang Minmi finished speaking, the wind snake suddenly spat out a wind blade, as fast as lightning, and fiercely pierced into Yang Dingtian's heart. Bang! Yang Dingtian's body flew out a few meters. With a burst of pain, Yang Dingtian violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Then Yang Dingtian suddenly fell down, and once again pretended to be dead. Fortunately, he had the deep-sea Xian clothes, otherwise, this wind blade would have already cut through his chest. Spit out the enchanted orchid. Let it eat it. Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian's mouth loosened, and suddenly the enchanted orchid floated out of Yang Dingtian's mouth and fell beside him. The wind snake observed for a while, and after confirming that Yang Dingtian was dead, it swam over and lowered its head to bite the enchanted orchid. Its mouth bit the enchanted orchid, and it suddenly became intoxicated. Yang Dingtian was about to draw his sword. Wait, Dongfang Minmi said. It's not time yet, wait for 1 more minute, wait for it to be completely intoxicated. Seeing the wind snake's intoxicated expression, Yang Dingtian could not help but be surprised. Master, what's the use of this enchanted orchid to the wind snake? Why would it rather die than eat it? It has no use, Dongfang Minmi said. Any demon beast that sees the enchanted orchid will not hesitate to die, because the enchanted orchid will make them addicted, giving them a kind of euphoric feeling. Isn't this a drug? It's equivalent to the Chaos World's heroin. No wonder this wind snake would rather die. There are many drug addicts on Earth who would even die for a little heroin. Yang Dingtian suddenly did not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not expect to meet a drug addict in a different world. No wonder the price of the enchanted orchid in this world was so high. As time passed, the wind snake's expression became more and more exaggerated. Just by sucking the enchanted orchid, it had completely entered another world. It began to toss and turn, and its eyes were completely blurred. It was as if it was drunk and swaying. At this time, not only the snake's pupils were somewhat scattered, but the transparent protective layer on its eyeballs also dispersed. Time's up, draw your sword, Dongfang Minmi said. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian jumped up, and the sword in his hand quickly stabbed out like lightning. The first move of the pig-killing swordsmanship stabbed the throat. However, it was not the throat that was stabbed, but the wind snake's eyes. Poochie! Suddenly 2 blood splashed out. Yang Dingtian's 2 swords instantly blinded its eyes. Ouch! The wind snake, whose eyes were blinded, suddenly woke up and made an incomparably painful scream. The 2 or 3 meters long snake body crazily whipped the ground, creating cracks on the stiff ground. Then it aimed at Yang Dingtian's direction, and suddenly opened its bloody mouth to the extreme. Lie down, be careful of its last wind blade, Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian immediately fell to the ground. Whoosh! A wind blade flew through the air and cut through the tip of Yang Dingtian's nose. If it was a little later, half of his head would have been cut off. After spitting out the last wind blade, the demonic snake crazily crawled on the ground, opened its bloody mouth, looking for Yang Dingtian's breath. It wanted to completely bite Yang Dingtian into pieces, tear him into meat paste and then swallow him alive. Its eyes were bleeding, its fangs were like knives, and its 3-meter-long body crazily crawled on the ground, looking particularly terrifying. However, its eyes were already blind, so it could only find Yang Dingtian by smell. Soon it found Yang Dingtian's position. The 3-meter-long snake body suddenly arched, and then like a slingshot, suddenly shot toward Yang Dingtian. It opened its scarlet mouth to the maximum, and bit toward Yang Dingtian's neck. Although it had no wings, its catapult speed was incomparably amazing. Yang Dingtian stood motionless, looking at the wind snake's open mouth. The long sword in his hand suddenly stabbed out. The fifth move of the pig-killing swordsmanship, cleaning the stomach. Hiss! The long sword in Yang Dingtian's hand suddenly pierced into the wind snake's mouth, digging out the heart and lungs. Then Yang Dingtian used the fourth move of the pig-killing swordsmanship. The sharp sword suddenly turned in the snake's stomach. It was divided into 2 pieces, followed by the 7th move. The sharp sword in his hand suddenly horizontally, along the corner of the wind snake's mouth, and fiercely cut down. Only the skin and flesh here were relatively fragile. Suddenly, the wind snake was cut more than a foot long by the sharp sword, and suddenly a beating heart could be seen. With a flick of the sword, the snake's heart was cut off. Bang! Suddenly, the 3-meter-long snake body slammed on the ground, twitched for a moment, and then completely died. All the strength in Yang Dingtian's body suddenly disappeared like a tide. His legs went soft and he wanted to sit down, but he forced himself to stand. When he was sure that the wind snake was completely dead, he went forward with the broken sword, cut open the wind snake's huge triangular head, and dug out its demon core from a bloody mess. The wind demon core was in his hand. It was a beautiful demon core, transparent and colorless, but with a little bit of gray like the color of clouds and also like the color of the wind. There were still 3 demon cores left: metal, ice, and lightning. At this time Yang Dingtian could not help but feel a burst of pride in his heart. He was only an enlightener. Hunting fire-type and wind-type beasts by himself sounded like an impossible task. However, he completed it, even though he was scarred and surrounded by dangers. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was full of hope for the next 3 demon cores. Looking at the sunset on the horizon, it was already late. Swoosh! At this time, a pleasant call came from the sky, and then a gorgeous figure flew over. It was Yao Yao, the floating ray, came to pick up Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian immediately waved at it, and the floating ray came closer and closer. At this time, Yang Dingtian discovered that there was another person on its back. It was Shima Ningning. Shima Ningning's delicate face was full of anxiety. When she saw Yang Dingtian, she immediately said, "Come back to Cloud Sky City with me. There's something very important." Chapter 51. What's the matter? Yang Dingtian was shocked and asked hurriedly. At this time, Shima Ningning saw Yang Dingtian covered in blood and immediately whispered, "How did you get hurt like this?" Then she touched Yang Dingtian's wound with trembling hands. "I'm fine, it's just some superficial wounds," Yang Dingtian said. "Tell me, what happened in Cloud Sky City?" "It's about Yin Yan," Shima Ningning said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. What happened to Yin Yan? Did that old bastard Yang Yan use some kind of trick? "No, Yin Yan is fine," Shima Ningning said. "Someone from the Sea of Hades came to see Yin Yan." Yang Dingtian was slightly shocked. It wasn't important for someone from the Sea of Hades to see Yin Yan. It wasn't necessary for Ningning to ride the floating ray over. Ningning continued, "Also, I gave you pills and deep-sea Xian clothes this morning, but I forgot the most important thing. I forgot to give you a good weapon and asked you to use a steel sword to kill the demon beasts. When I remembered, I was scared out of my wits, so I quickly rode Yao Yao to find you. If he had a good weapon, killing the 2 demon beasts wouldn't be so difficult." Yang Dingtian didn't have much Xian Qi, so whether it was the fiery demon wolf or the wind shadow demon snake, they couldn't even pierce through his skin. "I'm fine," Yang Dingtian said with a smile. "Fortunately, you're fine. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for the rest of my life," Shima Ningning said. Then she helped Yang Dingtian onto the floating ray. "I'm fine. I'm not that weak." Yang Dingtian smiled and jumped onto the floating ray. "Yao Yao, you're tired again." Yang Dingtian reached out and touched Floating Ray's neck. Floating Ray whined and rubbed its neck against Yang Dingtian's palm. Ningning jumped onto the Floating Ray's back and sat behind Yang Dingtian. "By the way, have you hunted a demon core?" Shima Ningning asked. Only then did she remember this important matter. "Got it," Yang Dingtian said. "I killed a fiery demon wolf and a wind snake." I got fire-type and wind-type demon cores. Shimin Ningning exclaimed and said in disbelief, how did you do it? You only have an ordinary steel sword. Not only did you kill the fiery demon wolf, but you also killed the wind shadow demon snake? The wind snake is very powerful. Even 5-star novice martial artists would not be able to kill it. Instead, they would be killed by it. Yeah, that beast is very powerful. Yang Dingtian then told Ningning the process of killing the wind snake. Shimin Ningning's face turned pale. She said, you're really amazing. You know how to use the enchanted orchid to kill the wind snake. Hearing her praise, Yang Dingtian suddenly felt embarrassed. He quickly changed the topic and asked, by the way, why did the people from the Sea of Hades come to see Yin Yin? It's a long story. Let's go back and heal first. I'll tell you later, Ningning said. She then patted Floating Ray's back and said, Yao Yao, let's go back. Floating Ray screeched and spread its wings, flying in the direction of Cloud Sky City. Even though it was carrying 2 people, it was still fast, steady, and light. In the small building, Yang Dingtian was lying in a wooden barrel of medicinal soup. His upper body was above the water, and his wounds were so deep that his bones could be seen. Why didn't you take the elixir? Shimin Ningning scolded in a low voice. She then poured the milky white medicinal liquid on her hand and gently rubbed Yang Dingtian's wounds. Yang Dingtian wasn't a tough guy. He was in so much pain that his body twitched. He grinned and said, at first I couldn't bear to take it. Later I didn't have time to take it. I told you not to give me elixirs that are too good. How can you be like this? Shimin Ningning whispered. Even though she was scolding him, her voice was still soft. Wherever her small hand touched, the wounds would heat up. The medicinal liquid seeped into the wounds. The bloody wounds were originally open, but after the medicine they automatically closed up, leaving only deep red marks. It was really a mysterious elixir. By the way, I have a gift for you. Yang Dingtian thought of the enchanted orchid and immediately stood up from the barrel. Don't stand up. Shimin Ningning whispered. Your pants have been melted by the medicinal liquid. Yang Dingtian quickly sat back down. He used too much force, and the medicinal liquid directly splashed on the corner of Shimin Ningning's mouth. I am sorry. Yang Dingtian instinctively reached out to wipe the medicinal liquid from the corner of Ningning's mouth. Shimin Ningning's face suddenly turned red. She whispered, no, it's nothing. Then she went to the outer room, took clothes and a towel, and put it on Yang Dingtian's hand. Then she turned around and said, okay, you can come out now. Yang Dingtian came out of the barrel with a red face and wiped his body with a towel. Shimin Ningning was standing not far away. Suddenly the atmosphere in the room was very awkward. Yang Dingtian put on his clothes. However, his wounds had just been smeared with medicine, so his shirt had to be open. Yang Dingtian took out his package, took out the enchanted orchid and said, I picked it from the Red Wilderness today. Here you are. Enchanted orchid. Shimin Ningning's beautiful eyes lit up, and she was pleasantly surprised. She said, this flower is very rare. You actually picked it. It's just a flower. Compared to what you gave me, it's completely insignificant, Yang Dingtian said. Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Shimin Ningning's surprised expression suddenly froze. She took the enchanted orchid and said softly. Yang Dingtian could see that she was unhappy. Did I say something wrong? Yang Dingtian asked. Shimin Ningning opened her small mouth and said, this is very dangerous. Don't do this in the future. Also, I don't want you to feel that you owe me anything, okay? Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned, and then nodded. Then the two of them sat in awkward silence again. He really wanted to ask Ningning why she was so good to him. There was no reason, but after thinking about it, he still didn't ask. Sister Ningning, you asked me to return to Cloud Sky City in such a hurry. You said that someone from the Netherworld Sea came to see Yin Yin. What's wrong with that? Yang Dingtian asked. Yin Yin is free to see whoever she wants. Yin Yin meeting the person from the Netherworld Sea is of course fine, but Yin Yin wants to go with that person. She wants to go with him to the Netherworld Sea. Ningning said, I can't persuade her at all, so I can only ask you to come back and persuade her. What? Yang Dingtian was anxious and said, why does she want to go with that person to the Netherworld Sea? Who is that person? Why does she want to go with him to the Netherworld Sea? His name is Songyu, a disciple of the Netherworld Sea. Yinyan wants to go with him to the Netherworld Sea to treat her Xian meridians. Shima Ningning said, "This matter is very complicated. Listen to me slowly." The Netherworld Sea was one of the most mysterious places in the world. It was both good and evil. In the eyes of the world, there was only one impression, and that was that the Netherworld Sea was almost omnipotent. Some people might dare to offend people from the 3 sects and 9 clans, but they definitely wouldn't dare to offend people from the Netherworld Sea. Because it was omnipotent, even the dead could be brought back to life. It could also make an incomparably strong person die without leaving a trace. 5 years ago, Yinyan had a huge accident. Since then, her Xian meridians had been destroyed. All these years, her cultivation had been constantly regressing. After 2 to 3 years, she didn't have any Xian qi and was as weak as an ordinary person. If there was any power in the world that could heal Yinyan's damaged Xian meridians, it could only be the Netherworld Sea. So, in the world, there might be people who dared to offend people from the 3 sects and 9 clans, but absolutely no one dared to offend the Netherworld Sea. Since the Netherworld Sea was so powerful and miraculous, then everyone in the world would have rushed over like a flock of ducks. Those who should have died could be revived. However, no one in the world knew where the Netherworld Sea was. Moreover, the Netherworld Sea was absolutely cold and heartless. Unless it was given a huge benefit, it would definitely not lend a helping hand. Therefore, the Netherworld Sea Songyu taking the initiative to appear in Cloud Sky City was really a puzzling matter. Yang Dingtian was silent for a moment, then said, "If the Netherworld Sea can heal Yinyan's injuries, then that would be for the best. Yinyan following Songyu to the Netherworld Sea isn't a big deal. This is a good thing. Little Tian, there's a very famous saying. That is, if you owe the Netherworld Sea a debt, you won't be able to repay it even in 10 lifetimes. Shima Ningning said, "I don't know why Songyu would take the initiative to come to Cloud Sky City to see Yan, but I know that if the Netherworld Sea wants to heal Yan, they would have to pay a huge price." Yang Dingtian thought for a moment, then said, "If they can heal Yan, then even if they have to pay a huge price, it will be worth it." Ningning shook her head and said, "You don't understand. The price that the Netherworld Sea offers is something that almost no one in the world can afford. Moreover, I am an alchemist myself. I am very clear about Yinyan's Xian veins. I really can't find any hope of healing her. I don't believe that the Netherworld Sea can heal Yan. Is that Songyu still in Cloud Sky City? Where does he live?" Yang Dingtian asked. "He lives in the Heavenly Guest Pavilion," Ningning said. "Big sister Ningning, give me a set of clothes. I will go see him now. I will ask him if he can really heal Yan. If he can, what is the price?" Yang Dingtian asked. Ningning walked to the cabinet and took out Yang Dingtian's robe, which was sewn by him. "Big sister Ningning." At this moment, a delicate voice came from outside. Instantly, Yang Dingtian and Ningning's expressions changed because this was Yinyan's voice. Shima Ningning's little face instantly turned pale. She whispered anxiously, "Little Tian, quickly hide. Don't let Yinyan see you here. Moreover, you look like this." Yang Dingtian looked down. He was wearing loose pajamas that were still open. At this moment, he was alone with Shima Ningning in a room. If someone saw him like this, it would be difficult not to misunderstand. If he was caught, he would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Outside, Shima Yinyan's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Shima Ningning anxiously looked around for a place to hide. Her room was too simple, so she couldn't even find a place to hide. "Right here." Ningning opened a cabinet door, and then pulled Yang Dingtian to hide inside. Before she could close the cabinet door, the beautiful Yan walked in. "Big sister, what are you doing? I kept calling you but you didn't respond." Yan looked at Shima Ningning in confusion. Chapter 52. In a hurry, Ningning took 2 clothes from the cabinet and closed the door. "I'm going to take a bath." Yang Dingtian was hiding in the cabinet, surrounded by Shima Ningning's clothes. "It's so late. Why are you here?" Ningning asked softly. "It's not late. I often can't sleep in the latter half of the night, so I come to find you." Yinyan said softly, "I really miss those days. Sister Ningning, do you still remember that we secretly played?" Ningning blushed and said anxiously, "Don't say it, don't say it. She didn't know what they secretly played with that made Shima Ningning react so strongly. Yin said softly, "You only know how to be shy now. It's too late to pretend to be reserved." "Okay, don't say it, don't say it." Ningning was ashamed because there was another person in the room. She was so virtuous and dignified. If this kind of thing was heard by a man, it was really too, "Okay, what's the matter?" "I'm going to take a bath," Ningning said. "Okay, let's go together." Yin rushed over. Ningning quickly dodged and said, "Don't be like this. You're already married. Why are you still so crazy?" Hearing the word married, Yin's delicate body suddenly stopped playing. She sat down on the bed and sighed softly. Ningning went forward and sat next to Yin. "It's inevitable for husband and wife to quarrel, but how can you say such heartless words? Besides, Yang Dingtian just wants..." "Sister, don't mention his name in front of me," Yin suddenly said. "I really don't want to hear those 3 words at all, okay?" Ningning frowned and said unhappily, "He's your husband. Sister Ningning, I came to your valley for joy and freedom, so please don't talk about him anymore. Okay?" Yin said. Hearing Yin's words and thinking of Yang Dingtian in the cabinet, Ningning's little face turned pale. Yin said such heartless and cold words at this time. How much damage did Yang Dingtian suffer? Ningning let out a long sigh and said, "Yin, do you really think you've given a lot and sacrificed a lot? Do you feel that Yang Dingtian has wronged you?" Before Yin answered, Ningning said, "You're wrong. What a man needs the most is his wife's understanding and support, not to give and sacrifice for him. Every time you give, every time you make a sacrifice, it seems very noble, but in fact every time you do it you trample on him. It's like you're constantly reminding him that he's useless. Yin, your selflessness is the same as Dongfang Bingling's selfishness. It will bring great harm to him, or even greater harm," Ningning said. "Yang Dingtian can be angry and hate the harm caused by Dongfang Bingling's selfishness. But the harm caused by your selflessness, he can only deal with it gently and swallow the pain. Sister Ningning, you're his confidant. He said something similar before," Yin said. "Yin, he's your husband. That can't be changed. Do you still want to be happy in this life? If you do, then love him, support him, and understand him," Ningning said. "The most important thing is that I can see that he's a man worthy of your love." "What do you mean by happiness?" "I don't expect to be happy after marrying him. Just my life." "I accept it," Yin said softly. "When that happened 5 years ago, I already accepted it." Ningning suddenly became silent. She was afraid that if Yin continued, it would hurt Yang Dingtian even more. "Sister, this is our last night together. Do you still want to talk about these unhappy things?" Yin said. Shima Ningning was shocked. "What do you mean? You've decided to go to the Netherworld Sea?" "Yes, I've decided. I'll leave tomorrow," Yin said. "He's already unreliable. I can only rely on myself to support Cloud Sky City's mission. In the Netherworld Sea, they might be able to restore my broken Xian veins and let me return to my talent from 5 years ago." Yang Dingtian said something right. People can only rely on themselves. No one else can be relied on. Shima Ningning said with a trembling voice, "There are only 5 days left. You won't even give him 5 days? He's already hunted 2 demon cores today and almost lost half his life. But you won't even give him a chance to prove himself? Hunting 5 types of demon cores and then breaking through. This is just his fantasy. Sister Ningning, you're more knowledgeable than me. Have you heard of this method of breaking through?" Yin asked. Ningning was stunned and then gently shook her head. She really hadn't heard of it. "I only know that he's still an enlightener. He doesn't have any Xian Qi in his body," Yin said. "He's already completely entered his own world. I can't call him back. I've tried my best. Also, even if he can break through by hunting all 5 types of demon cores, does Sister Ningning think that he can hunt an ice-type demon core with his strength as an enlightener? Can he hunt an electric-type demon core?" Ningning was speechless again, because it was completely impossible. Just the fire and wind types alone had already injured Yang Dingtian. Even if he fails, you should wait 5 days before leaving. Even if he's a fantasy, you should let him wake up before leaving, Shima Ningning said. "But the people from the Sea of Hades are leaving tomorrow," Yin said. "No one in the world knows where the Sea of Hades is. If you miss it, you won't have another chance." Then you'd rather believe in the illusory sea of Hades than your husband? Ningning asked. I've already given him many chances, Yin said. Besides, who in the world doesn't believe in the sea of Hades? At least compared to Yang Dingtian. Indeed, no one would doubt the ability of the sea of Hades. In the field of mystery, the sea of Hades was indeed unique. It was rumored that they even had the ability to bring the dead back to life. Ningning took a deep breath and said, Have you decided? Yes. Yin said, You and Mother are the two people I miss the most. I'll spend the first half of the night with you and the second half with Mother. Tomorrow, I'll go to the Sea of Hades. Then you can go. Ningning stood up and said calmly, If you choose to leave Cloud Sky City, then you don't have a sister like me. If you don't even want your husband, then I don't have a sister like you. Sister Ning. Yin said in disbelief, We're like sisters. You don't want me as your sister because of him? Yes, because I believe in him. I admire him, Ningning said. From the first disagreement between you two, I've been on his side. I think he's right. Yin was stunned. She couldn't help but cry. She looked at Ningning for a long time and said, Okay, then I'll leave him in your care. Sister, take care. Then Yin ran out crying. You won't even see Yang Dingtian for the last time? Shima Ningning said loudly. It's better not to see him. Yin stopped and continued running out. Sister Ningning, say sorry to her for me. After Yin ran out, Ningning turned around and lay on the bed crying. Yang Dingtian walked out of the cabinet and sat down on the bed. He saw Ningning's beautiful back. Her shoulders were trembling because of crying. Yang Dingtian extended his hand and patted her tender shoulder. Ningning turned around and hugged Yang Dingtian tightly. She cried, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yang Dingtian was stunned. He patted her back gently. He was curious why Ningning would say sorry. However, Yang Dingtian didn't say anything. He just comforted her. After crying for a while, Ningning left Yang Dingtian's embrace. She looked at him with teary eyes and said, Yan did something wrong. I hope you don't blame her. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, I said, no matter what she does, I won't blame her. Not only won't I say it, I won't blame her in my heart. Ningning suddenly sat up straight and said, Yang Dingtian, promise sister that you will stop Yin from going to the Netherworld Sea. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, If the people from the Netherworld Sea can really restore Yanyan's Xian veins, then it will be a good thing for her. It's not that simple. The Netherworld Sea is both good and evil. If Yanyan goes to the Netherworld Sea, maybe she will enter hell. Shima Ningning said, You promise foster father that you will protect Yanyan. If she leaves and something happens, how will you protect her? Yang Dingtian asked in his heart, Master, should I stop Yanyan? Do you know about the Netherworld Sea? Dongfang Minmi was silent for a moment and said, If you owe the Netherworld Sea something, you won't be able to pay it back even in 10 lifetimes. If you owe the Netherworld Sea a debt, no one dares to not pay it back. Even if you have to pay it back in 10 lifetimes, you will have to pay it back. I know what to do. Yang Dingtian said. Yang Dingtian didn't go find Yanyan. Instead, he went to the Heavenly Guest Pavilion to see Songyu from the Netherworld Sea. The Heavenly Guest Pavilion was at the top of a cliff. It was built by Cloud Heaven City to entertain the noblest guests. Climbing up the cliff and walking into the Heavenly Guest Pavilion, Yang Dingtian saw this person. This was a young man. His eyes were like distant mountains. He was as handsome as jade. His black hair was like the clouds and his temperament was like the wind. He was dressed in a green robe. His long hair wasn't tied up and was casually draped over his shoulders. He was proud and natural, confident and outstanding. Yang Dingtian bowed. Songyu, what business do you have for disturbing me in the middle of the night? The other party said indifferently. I heard that your place can cure my wife's Xian veins? Yang Dingtian said. Your wife? Songyu revealed a puzzled expression. Shimin Yin. Yang Dingtian said. She's your wife? But I think she's still an unmarried girl. Songyu said. His words were very rude. Saying this in front of someone else's husband. That's none of your business. Yang Dingtian said. You haven't answered my question. Can my wife's Xian veins really be cured or not? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.